Stays crunchy. Stays crunchy. And milk.
Utterly unprepared for a cold open. Like, I forgot all about that, but I got something in my head right now, and I'll go from there. It's the 40th anniversary of Tetris, which I think is pretty dope because it's actually absolutely one of my most favorite games ever. But what I think is extra dope is that they announced, I think last week, that local Cleveland clothier and just cool manufacturer of dope shit, Ilthy, is collabing with the Tetris company to make some merch for the 40th anniversary, so you can get some fly shit. It'll be first available at this event this weekend at the hell's the theater called? Playoff Square. Was not coming to me at Playoff Square. It's a I forgot what it's called. It's like called Future something like that, Cleveland or something like that. There, and it's like where lots of BIPOC people get together and try to hustle and figure out how to make business pop more in Cleveland. So Ilfy is one of those organizations, one of those manufacturers or companies, or whatever. And I'm like, it's super dope that they linking up with Tetris Co. to make some fly shit. Bruh. It's a Tetris 40th anniversary game coming out November, maybe December from Digital Eclipse. And Digital Eclipse has become what they have seemed to focus on lately, has been making games that are kind of like museums. They started with the Atari 50th collection, and it was an Atari. Yes, it's a game. It has a bunch of Atari, a lot of Atari's older games on it, but it also has all these videos throughout it that they're talking to people who made the games and started the company and so forth and so on. And so they've just come around doing it. The next one was Karateka, and that's from the guy who made Prince of Persia. And so they went through and they talked to him about all his stuff and the game, and of course the game and some versions thereof are available. And then the next one after that, what was it? I don't think it was Prince of Persia because I feel like that's a Ubi joint. So I don't think they'd share that with them. Well, who knows? Maybe. But the next one is going to be, of course, Tetris 40th Anniversary Collection. It's like going to have all these versions of Tetris on it, like the original, of course, but also the arcade version. I think there's a SNES version it's SNES or some other one. But all these different versions that are going to be available on this collection, and of course, all this information about the game itself from the creator Alexei Pajitnov and so forth. I just like it's funny how one of my favorite games and of course the city I love are bumping heads here this weekend and here at an event, and I love that, man. I love video games for one, but I love how Cleveland is just so present and all around the world in time. So I just think that was super dope. You have any discussion of you have any feelings on Tetris? You ever get down with the Tetris situation?
I played a little bit on the Game Boy back in the day, and like I didn't hate it or anything, but like I always gravitated towards other games.
Yeah,
I think I played more Dr. Mario than I did Tetris.
It's not that I suck at Dr. Mario, but Dr. Mario it pulls me off just enough out of my hookup that I'm like, I don't even know how I'm gonna correct this problem. If you mess up just too much in Dr. Mario, it's hard to fix the problem. Whereas Tetris, because I played Tetris since I played an IBM version years ago called Yet. So I've been playing Tetris since junior high, and so I have methods and ways to get around it. And plus, they've tweaked Tetris over the years to make it not necessarily easier, but the way you play it is different. Like they have a Tetris World Championship, and the version they use is not an up-to-date version of Tetris. They play the harder version where you can't hold pieces and stuff. It's like they make it more difficult as a game, and I'm like, Tetris is way vibier now than it was back then. So I'm definitely going to cop this one or ask Santa for it because I would love to have what will probably end up being one of the definitive versions of the game. And I'm excited for that. At the same time, this game releases, Nintendo is going to release the NES version of Tetris on the Nintendo Switch Online service. If you have that, just holding hands, I'm saying that way that they can get their version out with this version. I don't think it's going to be a part of the overall package, but who knows? Maybe they work some deal out. And of course, the Game Boy version, I believe, is already on the the Switch Online service for the Game Boy. And if it's not, just go play Tetris 99. It has a Game Boy theme that you can use to play that. Kind of like the same difference. And if you're like me, well, you own your cartridge from when you were a child, and it's in a box over there on the side of the room. So that's how that particular thing gets down with the get down. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped about that. It's random, I know it's Tetris, but it's how I schmoove and groove, y'all. It's what I want to do. But it's just me and Box in the building tonight, so it should probably be a relatively brief program. Nothing too much. Me and Chaffee did go almost 3 hours last week, so you probably need a briefer show this week. It's good for the soul sometimes. So I'm gonna spit you a long length of flows that is from the soon-to-be inducted A Tribe Called Quest into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We talked about them last week, and now I thought I'd pick some lyrics from them this week. And let's get that started. I'm moving, yes, I'm grooving because my mouth is on the motor. Use the coast in the morning to avoid the funky odor. Can't help being funky, I'm the funky abstract brother. Funky in a sense, but I play the undercover. Once had a fetish for some booty. Now I'm getting funky in my rap, and that's my duty. Brothers tend to jock on the style in particular. If you got the ego like some brothers, then I'll get with you. But if you don't pursue, then I just don't give a fuck. My motto in the 90s is be happy making bucks. Girls love the gym because it causes crazy friction. When it goes up in and fluctuates the diction. I still understand the oomph because that's what I'm at for. I'm hooked on the swing, so just call me the music whore. Women love the voice. Brothers dig the lyrics. Quest the people's choice. We thriving for the spirit. If you can't hear it, then you get the if you can't hear it, then get the wax utensil. Write my rhyme straight up. Don't give it no fancy stencil. The rhymes be getting sweet, so we stay away from talk. A perfectionist at work, perking up the art. If you want to battle, I suggest you check your clock. Your demise is coming up, and I want your man to watch. Be the prime example, or deeper still, the sample. Insignificance, here I place you on the mantle. Born up in Harlem, reside down Jamaica. This girl I used to rock, her mom's was a Quaker. Now, what does that make her? The evil money taker. The first month, the crazy move faker. I use that to break her. See, upcoming rap shows get tickets to. Oh no, that's whatever. That's me rapping things that I shouldn't have in my lyrics. So hold on, let's clear that out. Click. That was me literally rapping an advertisement. The crazy move faker. I use that to break her. Fife is in the house. Uncle Mike is in the house. Bob Power is in the house. Tim Latham is in the house. Wise Men is in the house. The Brand News is in the house. The JBs is in the house. And De La, they in the house. Welcome to it. It's episode 554. And your email was rejected due to security policies. Nothing I can do about that, big baby. I'm your host, Taylor 713, joined by my other host. It's the eBay Emperor Lunchbox 2099. What's the good word, sir?
It's such a vibrant thing.
Factual statement, good sir. You know what it is. I'm like I said, Box been going for 2 weeks. And in that time, had travel adventures of all sorts. So I'm not to be bothered with much news or anything like that there. I just talk to you about Tetris. It's a good time we had. Make sure you get out and vote here in a few weeks. It's necessary. Do your part to do your part for the democracy that we care about so much, and we rock like so. But
your participation is going to be huge.
God, I hope so. Get out there, vote. You know what you got to do, people. But I literally about to hand the reins over to Box, and he's going to tell us all kinds of stories about whatever he wants to tell us stories about. Things I have not heard. I'm fully unaware. I've been waiting to hear what Box's adventures were like over these last few weeks. So first up, as always, is Tatum. It's some story time with Lunchbox. And like I said, soon, when I say those words, I'm going to give you a video package. Don't got it yet, but it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
I hope it's like the Wonder Years where like you got me like playing in the front yard by a white picket fence, and then like me looking lovingly into like my crush's eyes as I kiss for the first time, and then all of a sudden I'm getting on a boat to war. And then,
I thought it would involve books in some way, story time. But man.
oh. Yeah, I mean, I guess reading Rainbow works too.
How are you, sir?
I'm fucking tired.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. Like, you know me, I'm a less is more kind of guy when it comes to being social, and so being on the road, I don't travel all the time. I'm a homebody, so back-to-back trips in the span of a week definitely took a toll on me, both mentally and physically and financially. And there's a lot of firsts in there. Some scares. So I guess I'll kind of start from the beginning. So the day before my birthday, we went and saw Tom Segura at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, which I had bought tickets for like the day they went on sale, like back in like April or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I was not going to be able to go because when the NFL announced the schedule, me and a bunch of friends have been talking about going to Vegas for a Browns Raiders game for a couple of years now. And I knew that this year was the first year that the Browns, based on the way the NFL schedules are made, they were definitely going to be in Las Vegas. So we had, already had people like commit that we were going to buy tickets and everything. And there was like 2 weekends where I didn't want the game to fucking be on. One of them was my birthday weekend, which was like the day before. Tom Segura was here the day before my birthday, like I said. And then the other was in like November when Creed's going to be here and we have tickets to see Creed at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I was like, any other week but those two, for the love of God. And of course, the NFL schedule came out and they put the fucking Browns Raiders game on my birthday weekend. So, but it ended up working out. I guess I shouldn't have not wanted it on that weekend because it all kind of came like one big event when I realized that the Tom Segura night was actually the night before I would have had to have left to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
So luckily I didn't have to give up that ticket, even though I had offered it away, and I did the old my B and took it, rescinded the offer. In my defense, though, too, they also never declared that they would use the ticket, which I brought up with said party.
Yeah.
When we were going to the show, I told them, I felt real bad about doing that. I'm like, because that's not usually something I try to do. I usually like commit to what I say. I'm like, but I also messaged you and you didn't say anything for multiple weeks, one way or the other. So in my mind, you didn't actually claim the ticket. So I don't feel as bad about it as I would have otherwise.
Yeah.
And it turns out the person who would have taken my ticket and was only kind of like on the fence anyway. They didn't really care one way or the other.
Okay.
So like it all kind of worked out. So saw that show and not bad. The opener was pretty good. It was Jordan Jefferson, I think her name was, who I'd heard about from someone, like I guess they're like an up and comer. The middle guy was some dude from Cincinnati, and he needs to go back to the drawing board.
Cincinnati.
well, he says he lives in I think he said, I don't know if it was Seattle or Portland.
Okay.
He was wearing like flannel and had like a beard. It looked like he could have worn like a Scully cap. Like he had, like, is that the Seattle uniform or the Portland uniform?
I think it works for either, so you're good.
Yeah,
gear.
Yeah, he's over there in one of those now, according to him. So he came out and like he just kind of like regurgitated overused like marijuana humor. And so like it was like, all right, cool, dude, we get it. You smoke weed.
Your platitudes are played out, not as funny as you think they are.
Yeah, like I tried to be open-minded about it. He probably got a couple chuckles out of me.
Yeah.
But the overall consensus from the people I was with was, yeah, he needs to pack it up. But Tom Segura went on for a while, and he was pretty funny. He talked about Nazis and meth. Like the Nazis doing meth, I should say.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I guess the way I said it made it sound like it was like two separate subjects, but no, they were intertwined. A bunch of various things.
New Nazis or old Nazis? This matters.
Oh, back World War II.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like fresh Nazis are also doing meth.
Probably. But like before his show started, he like had like video screens up, and they were playing ads the whole time we were waiting before the show and everything. And then like right before the show started, it ran like a video. They didn't lock our phones up in those like sealable cases.
Yeah,
the Yonder bag. Yeah, he didn't have Yonder bags at the show, but they basically had like a decree that like you put your phone away, and if the ushers see you without, you're kicked out. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like no debating. Like you're out. But the video was just kind of like saying like it was making fun of people who like go to like shows and then all they do is just sit behind the phone screen taking pictures and posting videos to like Instagram Live and shit. He's just like, oh well, how will people know I was there then? He goes, you'll know you were there because you have this thing in your head called a memory, and it replays things, so you'll know that you were there. He goes like, watch the fucking show. You're here you paid all this money to come here. Pay attention, enjoy it, get out of your phone. And I always preach that shit because it like I hate when I like pay all this money to go to like a show or a sporting event or something, and I'm stuck in the row with the fucking people who get up and like make me stand up and like they block the view or whatever. They just like got to go to the bathroom, or they got to go buy a beer, and now they got to go get a water, and now they got to go to the bathroom again. Like, motherfucker, did you pay to come here to pee, or did you pay to come here to watch the fucking event? And like, I know I probably shouldn't be that irritated by it, but like when you got to get up 10 times, like when I make sure everything's done before I get to the fucking seat.
Yeah.
If I have to pee, I pee beforehand. If I need something to drink, I get it beforehand. Or at the very least, I coordinate with the people who are with me if they're getting up, so that we make the least amount of trips possible. Yeah. But then you got these fucking people. They're just the up down people. This up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I just like this kind of segues a little bit into the Browns Raiders game for a minute. Like me and my buddy got there a little early because like for those who know, don't know, he has a genetic condition where he literally cannot sweat. So him actually going to Las Vegas was probably a poor idea on his part for this time of the year for how hot it was. Yeah. So he and I Ubered to the stadium like 2 hours before kickoff so that we could get him into the arena and in the seat, you know, to figure out like if he was going to be okay there and whatnot. Plus I needed to stop at the team shop there to buy, my brother wanted me to grab him a Raiders hat. And so we were up in the seats and we were on the, like our party had like the last like 8 seats of like the first row of section 408. So like, I think the seats went from like 1 to 24 or something. Okay. So we had like 16 through 24 or whatever it was. And so like we were there before kickoff and he and I were sitting, like we were waiting on our party to show up and because we were all kind of separated. And there were people that kept coming to the section, and instead of going like if their seats were on like the 24 end, instead of coming up the side of the section that's 24, they were coming on the side of the section that was 1, and then doing the whole walk across, and it just kept happening, and it kept happening, and it kept happening. It was like I would get up, let the whole family by, sit back down, and within 30 seconds, another fucking family's coming through. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, 1, can't you all figure out the right side to go on? 2, there's rows with nobody in it right behind us. Go up 1 and go over so you're not fucking with me. So finally, like at one point, this family's coming through. And like, I don't say nothing to nobody. I just stand up and I get out of the way. But like internally, I'm fucking irritated. Yeah. So finally, like this family comes by and the kids go past me. And then it's like the mom and the dad. and the mom's in front of the dad, and she goes, "Oh, we probably should have went the other way." And I go, "Ha ha ha! You think?"
You said it out loud? Oh
Yeah.
shit! Son. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you should have. But I did it in a way where it
The
was
internal
like,
thoughts escaped.
yeah. But I said it in a way where I could fall back on, oh, I was kidding. But really, I was not fucking kidding. You should have went up one row and got the fuck out of my way.
Yeah.
So then, like, I after that, like, our party started showing up, and like it started getting more crowded, so people were like less willing to go across and everything.
Yeah.
But then, like, so we had 2 tickets. Like the one guy in our party had bought an extra ticket at the beginning, and then someone else had to drop out. So we had 2 tickets that had opened up, and so this one woman that was coming, she had 2 family friends that were going to come on the trip to Vegas, and so they bought the tickets. This motherfucker was the supreme up-down person. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Like, him and his wife got up a bunch, but the husband, up and down, up and down, up and down. And there were times where, like, he would leave, come back with nothing. Like, so I'm assuming, okay, bathroom, right? Then he would get up 3 minutes later during a timeout and leave again and then come back with nothing. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Drugs. It's got to be drugs, right? I mean,
I guess, like, I don't know this person at all. Like, they were supposed to come to my birthday dinner on Friday, and they just decided not to after I had made the reservation. So I guess, like, to go back, so I had made a reservation. I flew, me and a couple other people in our party flew out on my birthday.
Yeah.
And so I had made a reservation earlier in the week for a steak dinner. I was trying to get Steer Steakhouse, which is like the oldest steakhouse in Vegas or whatever.
Okay.
But we ended up going to this place called Primal. So I had made the reservation for 9 people because that's how many people were supposed to be coming. And they're one of those types of places that they won't seat you until everybody in your party is present.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm skipping over like my flight or everything, so I'll rewind again. I'm kind of doing this in a weird like movie way where I'm showing you the ending first and then showing you how we got there.
Yeah.
When I got to the restaurant, like, because I had to go to the hotel and change and everything and drop off my luggage and shit. And I had a couple people in the car with me, so we went to the steakhouse. We met the other half of the party. And when I got in there, they're like, oh, well, we can't seat you until the other people are here. So, like, I had to go to the bar where the other half the party was and talk to them. And they're like, oh, they're not coming. And I'm like, oh, well, thank God that I made a reservation for 9 and paid this $250 deposit so they could just be like, oh, we're not coming. So they were already on my shit list.
Yeah.
Because I hate that. I hate when people make a commitment and then they're just like, nah. Like, why did you commit then if you were just going to be like, nah?
Yeah, it's fucking trash.
Yeah, so I had to go tell the hostess to like, oh, well, these 2 people just decided to not fucking come after they said they were coming, even though I didn't know them and I didn't really want them here to begin with, but now they're not coming. So thankfully they weren't shitty about it and they sat us at the table we were going to sit at anyway.
Okay.
And they just removed the placemats or whatever. But so now to rewind some more, my flight was supposed to be around like 3 o'clock. No.
I thought it was like 3.
Yeah. It was supposed to be like,
5,
I think it was supposed to be like, it was 3:40.
Okay.
That's when the flight was supposed to take off. So I got to the airport 2 hours before my flight, like literally almost to the minute, like 2 hours before my flight. Right. And I got through like, bag check really quick where like you get your boarding pass and give your luggage to the airline or whatever to load.
Yeah.
So like I did that within like a minute. Like that was quick. I had to walk all the way down to get to the TSA line, which was like kind of like the other end of the hallway.
Yeah.
And I get down there, I get in line. The line's already kind of long when I get there. And I noticed, like, thank God I got there when I did. Well, I ultimately ended up not mattering, but it was a good thing I got there when I did on that current timeline, because like a lot of people filled in behind me where like the line was going out the door, like where people were getting dropped off in cars, and the line just wasn't fucking moving. So finally, after, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say we figured out as the weekend went along. Half the city of Cleveland decided I'm going to Vegas to watch the Browns play too. So it was wild. So you had everybody probably going the exact direction you was going.
Yeah, like there were a bunch of people from my flight in the line with me, like obviously, but like the guy who was like on the other, like couple people off from me, he ended up sitting in the row in front of me. The lady who was like right behind me, I'm sorry. The lady who was literally right in front of me, she was on the flight and she was in like the last boarding group. Like our plane was supposed to be full.
Yeah.
But so I get in the line, and it's one of those like lines where you kind of got to go down and then back, and then, you know, it just keeps going like that, like a snake pattern.
Yeah.
So as I'm approaching the first hump of the snake, it's like the way the line's set up is like you zigzag through like we don't pay for pre-boarding shit, you know, because we don't travel enough people line, which is it goes on forever. And right next to that is the line with we travel all the time and we're rich, so we pay for a TSA pre-check line that zips right through. So as I'm approaching the first hump of the snake is the exact spot where the TSA pre-check line kind of starts, and there's like their greeter right there to kind of tell you what to do and everything. As I'm approaching this hump, I notice I know the woman who's standing there. And I realize, like, I knew it as soon as I saw her. I was like, that's the woman who fired me from Goodwill. And so, like, I'm staring at her because I want her to see me. Not like I'm going to do anything or that I care anymore. This was almost 13 years ago.
Yeah.
But, and to be fair, like, I deserve to get fired. You know, I'm not naive to that fact. I don't think that some of the things that happened to me there were cordial, or, you know, I think some people were purposely attempting to sabotage me, but that person's now deceased, so fuck it. What am I supposed to be mad about? But I also didn't handle things exactly well, and I also put myself in situations that I shouldn't have. So, you know, there was blame all around, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I wanted to see if she would like say something, if she would notice like it was me, whatever, right? So as I'm approaching, I just keep staring, and she hasn't said anything. So then I'm a couple people away from her before like the turn, and I just go, "Do you remember me?" And she goes, she kind of looks at me like she's trying to remember, and she's like, "Yeah." And she's just kind of like, "From where?" Kind of almost like, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, you fired me 12 years ago."
You really was letting the inside thoughts out this weekend. Like, fuck it, it's coming out today.
Well, I mean, because it's one of those things where like I don't care. Yeah. So, you know, we're civilians, and clearly you're not doing as great as you once were, unless the TSA is paying amazingly, and I'm unaware.
I think they do okay.
I mean, I have to imagine they do somewhat, but like you went from managing an entire district of retail stores to now you're saying hello and telling people where to go scan their badge at.
Fair.
But, and I say that because she kind of like, when I said that, she was like, "Oh, well, did I fire you?" And I'm like, "Well, the company did." I'm like, "Maybe you not necessarily directly." I'm like, "But the company did." She goes, "Oh, well, you're not mad at me, are you?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not mad at anyone. I'm like, getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me." And I'm like, "I failed upwards." And she goes, "Oh, where are you at now?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've been working for such and such for the last 12 years. And she kind of like,
that bitch carried cachet, don't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and she kind of like went like, oh, her face had that look of like, oh fuck, like okay, and I'm just like, yeah, bitch.
And you see me catching these jets, you know what I'm saying, here on the weekend. You know what it is, baby. We outside.
I was like, yeah, I made it to some degree. So then like the line started moving again. So I was like, all right, well, you have a nice day. And then I turned, I went around the next hump of the snake. And as I was coming back towards where her line would be, she goes, what's your name? And I tell her, and she goes, what store were you at? And I tell her. And it was in this moment that I realized I put entirely too much mental stock into the people I work with.
Mm.
Because I was like, you don't remember my name or where I worked, but I worked with you for 4.5 years. And you were grooming me, not no like Diddy way.
For sure.
But
no Diddy.
Yeah, no Diddy. You were grooming me to be the next one to take over one of your stores. I was next in line.
Yeah.
So I was of some importance to you in your work career, where you were working with me directly.
Yeah.
But yet now you can't remember my name or where I was at. And so that's when I was just like, I gotta stop giving these work people, and like I don't mean that to say like everyone you ever work with is shitty or whatever, but I feel like we as people put too much pressure on ourselves when it comes to our work relationships and how we allow them to affect our mental health.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's a very well-timed point because me and Charlie just had a similar discussion Monday on Cadillac. It's some people, yes, indeed, are your friends. You're one of my dearest, closest friends in this life, and we met at work. But a lot of people, and you know how I've told you before, you know what I'm saying? I said it again, I said it's on Cadillac, but I've told you this before. They don't know my middle name. If they ain't been to my house, they are not important enough for me to be thinking about, you know what I'm saying, outside of a general, situation. It's just like, and it took me years to get there, but I got there. I also feel like, y'all know, the switch went off on you this weekend, baby, or that 2 weekends back, and you was just like, okay, some learning comes with age, and it struck you like lightning, but now it has struck, and now you like, okay, and I dig that. I like that growth.
And I think part of it is that I didn't have that realization necessarily sooner, is because I've been at the same company now for 12.5 years, since my practically my mid-20s.
Yeah.
And so I haven't job hopped. I haven't I've position hopped within the same company, but I haven't left the company. And a lot of the people that I've worked with at the company are still here. So I haven't had a lot of that, oh, hey, we used to work together outside of work before. I've run into a couple people here and there, but they didn't mean shit to me. They were just people I used to work with. And that some of them were people that I remember seeing in the hallway, but I didn't feel like I can remember their name. And but I thought this would be different because I literally I worked with this lady directly. She was the district manager, and at one point I had worked myself up to assistant manager. She interviewed me to be a manager. Yeah. I was one of the people helping hold the place together when they fired the guy that was 2 levels above me. I was there for 4.5 years. I created protocols for that lady that were in their guidebook. I ran the fucking first aid classes there. She fucking told me how disappointed she was in me when I fucked up and got involved with that coworker. I had a direct working relationship with this person for 4.5 years. Yeah. And then to be like, oh, what was your name again? I'm like, what the fuck?
But it's 4.5 years, 13 years ago. It's like life happens. Plus, remember, we all start our own show. And
I know. And that's why I'm saying that's where this realization came, because it's I know exactly who she was. I remember stuff about her personal life.
Yeah.
And it's how much did I allow this person into my head or into my memories that I gave all this area to, this time to, this like consideration to, and at the end of the day, like it was like a waste of time, I guess. And I made it all to be more important than it was. And that's kind of like where I'm at now, like where I'm just like realizing that you shouldn't give, like there are more important things in your life that you should give that level of importance to, like, you know, friends, family, like things that you care about, instead of the thing that you just do because you need to do it to survive.
Yeah. It's real. It's real. And like I said, that's that. That mindset I wish was present in us early in the game, but it never is. You just gotta get older, and then all of a sudden it'll strike you. And you're like, oh yeah,
I was trying
to fuck them people either. It's just like, you know.
Oh, and there's no ill will.
Yeah.
It's just that like there's just certain people that you work with that like it's not like you dislike them or anything, but like when I get off, like I'll say hi to you if we bump into each other in public.
Facts.
But like I'm not like, oh man, we should go to dinner together. Like we can be cordial, but like this is work. Yeah. I didn't take this job so I could hang out with you after. Some people I don't mind. Like, you know, we've been going on more work excursions, and like I do like a lot of the people that I work with. Like, even though we're work from home, but like we were together in the office, and you know we still communicate over Zoom, and we go to these little hangouts and everything. And like, I'm not necessarily I'm not a young guy anymore. I'm middle aged, and but a lot of the people I work with are like older women.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like they're damn near ready to retire. And like I don't mind, you know, like every like 2 months or so or whatever it seems like they're doing now, where like we all go together as a work unit and go grab food somewhere and do some activity or whatever. Like, because the people I work with are really nice. Like I don't dislike anyone currently that I work with. So like I don't mind going and hanging out with them, like talking shop, like yucking it up, like sports and everything. And like some of the people like from that group, like I talk to on the phone, like about our personal lives, like, you know, when something's bothering us or whatever, like we have talked, like I have phone numbers.
Yeah.
So I think I'm closer to some of these people than like I would be otherwise. And so like, but there's been people that have worked in this department that have left over the last few years that like I kind of remember what they look like, but I don't remember their names. Like I you know, I didn't really talk to them or nothing, not anything against them, but like we didn't really interact much, and then they were gone. So it's like if I were even bumping them in public right now, I don't know if I would necessarily remember them. But those are the kind of relationships that I don't expect them to remember, like names or whatever. But like someone that I worked with on a like direct basis for almost half a decade, I would have at least expected to kind of remember my name.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe that was expecting too much. But the interaction kind of ended there, you know, like I left it feeling more enlightened and also kind of vindicated.
Yeah.
And shortly thereafter, man, I was waiting in that line forever.
Yeah.
Like we barely moved within an hour. And then like I was starting to get worried because like I had paid for like the priority boarding on Southwest.
Yeah.
And like they start doing that like a half hour before the flight leaves. And I had like an hour before the flight was supposed to leave, and I hadn't even gotten my ID scanned yet. And so I was just like, fuck, I'm about to miss my priority boarding. Because on Southwest, that's just important because there's no assigned seats.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to get in where you can fit in. And there's a reason why I paid twice as much as like fly anytime, because I wanted to fucking pick where I sat and get comfortable.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of standing there, and we're all kind of like, what the fuck, man? And then all of a sudden, like, I get like a phone alert that's like, oh, your flight's delayed. And it was like delayed like an hour and 45 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck? Because I never experienced that before, you know? So this was the first. And all the people around me started realizing what happened, and we're all talking, and we're all kind of like in solidarity, like, oh, you're going on that flight too? Oh, you too? Oh, you? And we're just kind of like, okay. So we're all in this together. Okay. And so I finally get through security, like they scan my ID, I go through the metal detector, all that. And because I'm fat, they got to give me the pat down. And Forgive me, I was a little parched.
Can I call it the fat down? Would that work as an episode title? I don't know how that feels.
Yeah. Call it the belly rub. So obviously I wasn't packing anything, so I get through security. And I learned a few years back that like there's those people that'll give you shit when you're flying, that like the people that want to look good all the time, and the dress shoes and the fancy shirts and like the pressed pants with the fancy belts and all that travel, and like, oh, businessman, like that kind of look. Fuck no. Basketball shorts, slip-on shoes, hoodie. Because when you got to go through security, I don't want to have to go fucking try and put my belt back on in front of everybody and retie my shoes and shit. Like I learned my lesson years ago when I had the cargo shorts with the belt.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with that. Like if you're going somewhere and you can change when you get there, do that, because like wearing the comfortable clothes, one, it makes it like the plane ride a little more tolerable when you can kind of move a little more freely, but it also makes getting through security less of a hassle because everything just goes on quick. So, there's no like massive undressing, and then you're in and out. So I got through the security line. At that point, I now had like almost 2 hours of time before the flight was supposed to come in. So I ended up going over to Shake Shack and grabbing lunch. So I got like a burger and a hot dog and a tea. And then I just sat by like a power outlet for a while, and I would like played Pokemon Go and just fucked around on my phone. Then like the one thing I also always make sure I do is I make sure I use the bathroom before I get on the plane, because that way I know I won't have to go on the plane.
Yeah.
And there's no way in hell, one, I want to get up on, like, once I'm seated on the plane, I don't want to get up until the plane lands.
Yeah.
Because I am way too big, and it is way too much of a hassle to get up and reassess and everything. And also, I have heard how small airline bathrooms are, and I want no part of that. So
it's the door more than anything. Once you get in, great. But the door, it's a broom closet.
Yeah, so I just do my best to avoid that whole situation altogether.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to the bathroom, then went and boarded, and so I bought the sit anywhere seat, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't really give me like any directions when I bought the seat or whatever. They're just like, sit it wherever you want. So like for the couple weeks leading up to the trip, I was kind of nervous because I was like, well, shit, where do I sit? Where's the best seats on the plane? Yada yada yada. And everywhere online is like, oh man, try and get in the emergency rows because they have more leg room, this, that, the other. So I'm just like, all right, well, I guess I'll do that. And I was the fifth one on the plane.
Yeah.
So I get on the plane, and like pretty much everyone's sitting up front at that point. So I'm just like, oh shit, the emergency rows in the middle are open. So I'm gonna go back there. So I go back there. I try to sit down, and the stewardess is like, well, you can't sit here. And I'm just like, what? So I go like to move back a row. She goes, no, you can't sit here either. And I'm like, well, where can I sit? And she goes, excuse me? And I'm just asking like, which seats can I sit in? She goes, well, anyone but these 2 rows. She thought I was trying to be smart with her.
Yes.
But I'm just like, look, you everywhere I'm sitting right now, you come up to me and you tell me I can't sit here.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out where the fuck I can sit so I can make a decision and we can end this. Like, I'm not trying to be like, what the fuck you say to me? Kind of like what, like that way, but like, I'm like, the first 2 seats I've gone to now, you tell me I can't sit in, even though the seats say I can sit anywhere. Yeah. So I need an explanation and a direction of where the fuck you want me to go, because I don't want to keep doing this. And every time I sit down, you're like, you can't sit there. So then she finally tells me that I can't sit in those 2 rows because they're emergency exit rows. Basically, she was telling me I was too fat to sit in the emergency rows, that they had to be housed by skinny people so that they could open the door if needed. But she didn't use those words, but that's what she was telling me. So then I just moved back a row, because at that point, like, I'm not going to walk 16 rows back to the front of the plane. I'm already back here. And all the rows at that point are exactly the same. Yeah. So I just sat in the window seat of the row right behind the emergency exit rows. And I got a seatbelt extender for the first time ever, because I didn't want to fuck with it. And I was just like, I'll just make it comfortable, whatever. Yeah. So the seatbelt extender, fine. I'm in the seat, fine. Plenty of leg room. Southwest, good job on the leg room. Like, I'd never been on Southwest before. Like, the leg room is great. So, now, like, it's supposed to be a full flight, right? Like, no open seats, whatever. And people are flooding in, because remember, I was the 5th person on the plane.
Yeah.
So, and there was like 175 people supposed to be on this flight. So there's a lot of people to come after me. So people are filling in. Eventually, some guy sits on the end of my row in the aisle seat, and I'm, at some point I know someone's gonna get stuck sitting next to me, between me and this guy in the middle. And so like I'm sitting there, and I'm watching people walk by, and the people have gone, people have saved seats for other people, yada yada yada. They've been going. And then like there's like one guy, like he goes and sits in a seat, and then there's no one standing up. And then they go and shut the fucking airplane door. And I'm like, holy shit, did someone not show up for this flight? So like I thought I was gonna be like kind of like hugging the wall and uncomfortable. And it turned into me and this dude having no one in our middle seat because everyone avoided me, and then we ended up having a no-show for the flight. So what initially started off kind of shitty turned into a blessing. So I ended up having plenty of leg room because Southwest is generous on the leg room for a tall person. And then I had no one next to me, so like I was able to put the armrest up, and me and the dude kind of kicked it. Not like kicked it like we were hanging out or whatever, but like we were nice to each other. And I had like a drink ticket that came with my flight that I booked, because I booked like the the first class version of Southwest, like the business whatever, but I don't drink anymore. So the guy was nice to me like when we first boarded, so I was like, well fuck, I have this ticket here I'm not going to use. So I tapped him. He was watching the Vince McMahon documentary on his tablet with earbuds in. So I tapped him and I was like, hey, do you want this? And I'm like, it's a free drink ticket. I'm like, I don't drink. And he goes, oh shit, thanks, yeah. So then he got like a sparkling wine or some shit with it, and then we were talking a little bit, and he like asked me what I did for work, or where I worked. I told him, and then he told me like that he worked in a similar industry in North Royalton.
Okay.
And do you remember like back when I was in your department and there was someone who worked in our Akron office that had the exact same name as me?
Yes.
I believe that person works with that person, because I told him my name when we were like exchanging pleasantries.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I was related to that person because we had the same name. So I think they moved from the Akron office to where this dude works.
Fascinating.
And I told the guy, I'm like, oh man, I think I used to work in the same company with that dude, because I used to get phone calls for him, and they thought it was me.
There's another me in Texas.
Yeah.
And it's like at this point he kind of has moved up the ranks. So every now and again I'll get the weirdest email. I'm like, that ain't me.
Yeah. So after that, the guy put his earbuds back in, and I also learned on this flight. So this is another first. Plane rides from now on have to have Wi-Fi.
Yes.
The plane ride with Wi-Fi, infinitely more enjoyable than the plane rides without Wi-Fi. It flew by. Like I got to play games on my phone. I was watching YouTube. Like I was watching people stream Call of Duty. Like I was texting people. Like I was like, I can't ever go back. Like if I have to save up money for a while longer and buy the more expensive flight, it's fucking worth it, because this is so much more of an enjoyable experience. Like my legs aren't crammed in the seat in front of me. Like, yeah, if there was someone next to me, that would be a little off, but that's more my fault than anything else. And then like just being able to enjoy something, like I'm like, I have to do this going forward.
Yeah. So
we ended up landing in Vegas, and then I've never rented a car before this. Yeah, really? I've never rented a car. I've been in a rental car, obviously.
Yeah, well, yeah, you and I have been in a rental car together.
But I never personally myself rented a car before. So I had rented a car from Hertz.
Yeah, we get a discount.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was the inventory they had on hand or the fact that my plane was a couple hours late.
Yeah.
But when I got there, all I had to choose from was Nissan Sentras and like some tiny Toyota.
Yep.
A Nissan Sentra is smaller than my car.
Yeah.
And so my big ass had to basically climb in and drive a clown car. And
Do you know what Toyotas was? Was it Prius or Corolla? Because it matters.
I think it was a Corolla, maybe.
See.
It was
That
a
was
tiny one.
That's the same as a Sentra, but a Prius, way more interior space than you think.
I have been in a Prius before. My buddy's deceased mom, she used to have one.
Yeah.
And it's like that was just kind of a spacious box. But yeah, like I saw the Camry or whatever, and there was like another guy there who was picking a car.
Yeah.
And he was like doing the like, oh, I gotta run to every car and try and pick the one I want before this guy thing. And I'm thinking, like, I don't give a fuck. I just went to a black Sentra and took it because it was all the same as all the other Sentras in the line.
Facts. Like, I'm not overly thinking this situation.
Yeah,
so
I was like whatever.
It's been like almost 10 years since when I went to Vegas. The first time and last time I went to Vegas, and I rented a car because we drove to the coast. And they were like, hey, because of this, that, and the third, you want to get this Mustang you can drop the top on? And I'm like, nah, bro. Because at this point in time, I'm like, look, I'm already cheaping out on this shit. I need something that's going to get me all the MPGs, which of course was a Prius, because of course it's a hybrid. So I was definitely going to maximize my miles per gallon on that bitch. And so that was the car we rented out in Vegas. Of course, it's white because damn near every rental car is either white or black. They don't try to give you challenge you. Well, no, they would have gave me a yellow Mustang convertible. I'm like, fuck no, sir. Just give me that white Prius, and we'll be all right. So yeah, I have rented from probably that same Hertz location you rented from, because it ain't like it changed that much. So
yeah,
slid out.
I was just kind of more proud of myself that I'm an older dude. I should be able to figure it out. But like, I'm the type of person when I'd never done something before, I overanalyze and overthink, and I worry until I've got, figure it out or I get through it.
Yeah.
So like, also I was traveling alone. So, I get off the plane. They didn't tell us where baggage claim was, but I kind of figured it out. I just kind of walked with the crowd, followed the signs, and I found the baggage check, and I grabbed the bag, and then at that point I didn't know where to go. Like, I knew that there was like
shuttle, right?
A shuttle that takes you to the rent-a-car place, because the Vegas is like really big on that. So like I had to figure out where the shuttle thing was. So I just kind of walked around, then I found some signs and found it. And then I found the shuttle I was supposed to get on. So, I just kind of wandered into success, we'll say. Yeah. And I got there, picked the car. And then at that point, like, I had to make contact with the people I was meeting. So I called my buddy and told him I got the rental car and everything. And so I figured out how to connect my phone to the car. And so, GPS and play music and stuff. Got out of there. And it took me a little longer to get to the hotel than I thought it would, because I got stuck in some sort of construction or something. Yeah. So he had to call me to figure out where I was, because I had to get to the hotel, drop my stuff off, change, grab them, and then drive to the steakhouse, because the reservation was for 9. But by the time I got the rental car, it was like 7:45.
Okay.
And I had to drive to Caesar's Palace from the rental place. So, it took a little bit. So we were kind of hustling. And so, like, I went and grabbed everybody. We had dinner, and that was the best steak dinner I've ever had.
Go on.
Like, I was kind of like sad when I couldn't book the Golden Steer, because they were all booked up. Yeah. And so like we kind of like tried to figure out an alternative, and everyone told me that they trusted my opinion, that they would just go wherever I picked, because it was my birthday and they all trusted me. And so I've been talking to my stepmom about it, because she called me like a couple nights prior, and her and me and my dad were talking for about an hour and a half. And I told her about how I was trying to get the reservation, and like, it wasn't working out and everything. So we were kind of like looking up places like on Google and talking about it and stuff. And one place we ended up, finding as an option was this place called Primal Steakhouse. Mm-hmm. And I looked at their Instagram, and it looked kind of like, it had kind of like a decor about it, where it was like kind of like a Viking kind of like, there were swords on the wall that you could take pictures with. They had like horns as mugs and shit like that. They had like candles like all over the tables that had wax dripped all over them and everything. Like, it was like wood like all over the place. Like, it had kind of like a old like a Witcher's bar kind of feel about it. But they also had like a menu where like they had like a 50-day dry aged 50-ounce porterhouse steak. They had Wagyu. They had like all these different sides. They had, drinks for my buddies and stuff. So like I booked this place, but like they told me that I had to put a $250 deposit down to confirm the reservation. So I ended up doing that. I had to like fill out a form with my credit card info on it and mail it and email it to them. And Capital One had actually rejected the charge at first because they were trying to run my numbers in Vegas while I was in Cleveland. So I had to tell Capital One, like, no, don't fucking decline that. Like, let it go through. But they like declined it like to off rip. So then like I had to go to the email the steakhouse back and be like, look, my credit card company declined the charge because they thought it might be fraud, but I told them it's cool. I'm like, rerun the card and confirm the resi. So yeah, they ran it and it was confirmed and everything. So nothing happened, with all that, thankfully. But like they told me that they apply the deposit to the final bill. So I was like, okay, well, I'm like, I'll work that out with everybody. But then like my friends told me that they were going to cover it all and that they were going to give me the money back for the deposit as like my birthday gift.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that was really nice of it, So like I ended up getting the deposit back and I didn't pay anything for dinner. I have really good friends. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, look at that one. That one's nice.
Yeah, right. My one buddy got a picture of him with a sword and a helmet on, like looking like he's about to hack my head off. And I'm like, I'm looking shocked or whatever. I don't think it's like on here or anything. But like he's got it on like his phone or whatever.
I'll dig it though.
But so what we kind of did was, rather than each person like order like their own thing,
yeah,
we kind of did like family style, where like we ordered the 50-ounce dry aged porterhouse, we ordered like the 28-ounce Delmonico, we ordered the one guy ordered like the Australian Wagyu. Someone had like a lobster. We ordered a lobster mac and cheese. We ordered a au gratin potatoes. We ordered like a garlic mash. Someone had ordered elk. Someone had ordered a some crab. And basically, we were just trying everyone's food, and it was like the best steak meal I've ever had. I part of it was because I was with people that I care about. I think part of it was because the food was really good and I got to try a bunch of different things. The decor was really cool. Like I drove a Nissan Sentra up into this place and there was a fucking Ferrari and a Bugatti across from me in the parking lot.
That's about right.
Yeah. The Instagram makes it seem like it's just like to some degree some kind of corny, like almost like theme restaurant. But it's actually pretty fucking sweet. And like I highly recommend it, and I would 100% go back.
Ooh, what that doing? I love that they set a lot of shit on fire at your table. Because
yeah, like we ordered dessert. Like I got like a strawberry cheesecake, and then my buddy got like an apple bourbon cheesecake. Yeah. And they did that at the table where they put like the shit around it and then they lit it on fire. But it was funny because like we were fucking with the guy. Like we kind of booed him. Because when he first came to the table, the lighter he was trying to use didn't have any lighter fluid in it, so nothing was igniting. So I was just yelling, boo, boo, and he had to run back to the kitchen and grab another lighter and come back,
Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, join us over on the YouTube side of the business. I am showing off their IG right now, so we can kind of see what the quality of their food looking. Everything looks scrumptious, bro. I don't even eat any beef at this point, any red meat at this point, but. You know what? You might be tempted when you see a menu that looks this gorgeous. Lots of good looking food to be had here. Ooh, Iberico croquettes, getting that Iberico ham popping off. You could have, yeah, bro. That's again, your boy don't eat no swine ever, but that's nice. This another dish we can. That's chicken. Huh, there you go. I could have got a nice little slice of a bird. Excellent. I'm glad you had a good happy birthday meal.
Yeah. So after dinner, went back to the hotel, and it was weird because with the time change, yeah. I was basically eating dinner at like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So that took a little getting used to. But it was like I said, it was an amazing meal. Next day, me and my buddy, our plan, like the reason we got the rental car was because we were planning on going out exploring, like shopping Saturday. Because a bunch of people we were with, they were planning on hanging around the pool all afternoon. And like I said earlier, he doesn't sweat, and so if he overheats, he dies.
Yeah.
So he couldn't really hang out in the 106-degree heat in a pool. Like, that would be a death sentence for him.
In the pool, still not going to work for him, eh? Like in the lazy river situation?
I mean, like, you just, like, the water with the light rays, like, it heats up, right?
Yeah, that's true. I actually went in the lazy river at MGM, so it was very nice vibes.
Yeah, so, we went and found I found a breakfast place off of like TripAdvisor or something.
Yeah.
That ended up being like amazing. He said it was like the best breakfast he'd ever had, like in a restaurant, like traveling like that. No. He got like a steak and eggs Benedict, and he was like so impressed with how the eggs were cooked. He said he'd never been to a restaurant before where they cooked the eggs Benedict well.
Yeah.
And I got like a breakfast burrito, and like I ended up getting like their house butter banana nut muffin, and like their hot sauces were really good. Like it was like they're fucking like they had like the cubed potatoes, like, and they seasoned them with their house seasoning. But like a lot of places will just kind of throw the potatoes on the plate and then throw some seasoning on top. You could tell that like they shook these in like a bowl or something, because like every bit of the potato had seasoning on it.
Nice look.
Like if it was a cube, the whole cube was coated. It wasn't just like kind of sprinkled on top. It was fucking fantastic. Like the attention to detail, the quality of the food, like highly recommend.
Yeah.
I actually, if I pull up text messages, I can tell you where it was, because I remember I texted it to somebody else while we were there. So give me just a moment. Egg Works.
Okay.
Yeah, Egg Works in Las Vegas. I think they have multiple locations. I'm not exactly sure which one we went to. It was kind of by the airport, I think. But we went there, had a good breakfast, and then we kind of just went around to like comic shops, card shop, like Magic Gathering shops. We ended up at a Goodwill, and my thing was like I told myself that like if I found like a Magic the Gathering dual land, that I would buy that as like a birthday gift to myself. Kind of like when we were in Philly and I bought the one at that shop, you know, that was what I was going to kind of do, was like going to make that kind of like a trip memento.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find a fucking thing. Like I got to the point where like we went to like the last shop, and like me and him just each bought a collector booster for the new set that came out. Cause like everywhere we went, like they barely had anything, or they didn't have what I was looking for. The one comic book store I did buy a trade back of the Power Rangers Lord Draken like origin.
Mm-hmm.
That way I could read it on the plane ride home. Because on the plane ride home, spoiler, it was not going to have Wi-Fi. Because I mean I already booked that. I hadn't learned that lesson yet.
Fair.
But yeah, no magic stuff. And then the Goodwill we ended up at. I had told this to Anthony a couple weeks prior to the trip, and like I think I may have said when we were in Philly, but like 10 years ago, Anthony, I didn't own luggage, and I had to go on a trip.
Yeah,
and Anthony had found that DC bag that I been using all these years, like on clearance on like some site. I forget which it was, but I ended up buying that bag, and that's been my luggage bag for over a decade now.
Yeah.
But I'm getting older, and like I'm tired of lugging that thing around.
Yeah.
And like I don't like it stands out like when it's coming through baggage claim and shit. That was like one of the benefits of it. But it was just kind of awkward to carry. It's literally just a duffel bag with wheels on it, really.
Yeah.
And like I see all the bags that people have that have like the handles that go up and down with the wheels and everything. And it's not that like I want like, oh, everyone else has one, I want one. But they're pretty fucking like well designed. And so I was just like, man, I've wanted one of those, but like I didn't want to spend the money on a new one like when I have the duffel bag that like technically is getting the job done.
Yeah.
So like we went to this Goodwill to just kind of look around. He ended up buying an Oakland Raiders shirt to troll our one buddy. because he jumped off the Browns when they got Deshaun Watson for for reasons, and so like I just was looking around to see if they had anything cool in there. Like one thing I did learn is like I always would watch these YouTube videos of like people who live in other states and they go thrifting and it's like they find fucking brand new shoes practically on racks for like $12 and shit. And it's like when I go to the thrift stores around here, you find shoes that like the soles are falling out and everything's cracking and they're just covered in shit. And they're like, oh, $18. And I'm like, you're fucking high. Get out of here. But like I went in here and I was just like, damn, these shoes look like they were barely worn. Yeah. Like I would buy these if I needed them or if they were like my style. And then like so I ended up in this like home goods type section and I'm looking around and I see like a red bag like I was talking about like with the wheels and shit.
Yeah. And
I'm looking at it and I'm like, but then I noticed next to it is a gray one. And so, like, I pull them off and I'm looking at them side by side. And I'm like, I don't like this red one this much. But this gray one, I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, I would buy this and I use it. And then I'm thinking about it. The more I'm standing there thinking about it, I'm like, why the fuck don't I just buy it and then transfer my luggage into this one and then just use this as my fucking bag? And so I was talking to my buddy about it. And he's like, yeah, you should do that. I'm like, but I don't want to get rid of the red bag. I'm like, even though I don't want to use it really, I'm like, it's got sentimental value and it's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like thinking like, what will I do with it? Like I'm in Vegas. Am I going to go get the bag and drive it back here to the Goodwill? Like that's a waste of my time. But I also am not going to throw it away. But then he's like, why? He's like, can you just put it in the bag? And I'm like, probably. Yeah. I'm like, it has like some pliability to it. Like I could probably fold it up.
Yeah.
So I went back to the hotel. I bought the bag. It was like $15, and it was fun.
I'm looking at the price right now, and I'm like, "Did you put that Ghastly sticker on there, or did it come with that Ghastly sticker?"
I bought that at a flea market that day and put it on there. I bought a Pokeball, a Ghastly, and then the other day, my buddy gave me a Venom sticker that I've now since put on there too.
Okay,
But I put those on there in an effort to kind of try to figure out which bag was mine at the baggage claim.
For sure.
My parents suggested to buy something to put around the handle, which I'll do at some point. But I bought the bag on a whim. It wasn't exactly like I was going luggage shopping. So, I had limited options. The Pokemon stickers were the best I could do on short notice.
I bought once a sweet ass Super Mario block luggage tag. So just look like a Super Mario block, you write your name on the shit, whatever, and put it on there. And by the time that bag came out of the luggage, that Super Mario tag was gone. I was like, you sons of bitches stole my damn Super Mario tag. So
yeah. So I bought the bag, and as I was checking out, they were doing the customary like, oh, do you want to sign up for our rewards program? And I'm like, no, thank you. So, oh, do you want to donate $1 to such and such? Oh, no, thank you. What's your phone number for marketing purposes? And I'm just like telling her, and she's like, oh, I don't recognize that area code. I'm like, yeah, I don't live here. I'm like, that's why I keep telling you no to everything. Like, there's no point in me being your rewards program. I'll never be here again.
Yeah.
And as I'm like paying her, there's like this old man who's standing a couple feet to me, like to my left at the next register. And he goes, you live in Cleveland? I'm like, basically. He goes, I heard you say 216. He goes, I'm from Garfield Heights. He goes, I moved out here a couple years ago. I'm like, oh shit, I used to work in Garfield Heights. And we were chatting for a minute, and then he got distracted talking to somebody else about something, and then I used that as an opportunity to sashay away.
I just love that. That's 2 trips this year, right? I mean, I know there's been whatever, but that's 2 trips this year where in the middle of anywhere that you probably shouldn't have, we met somebody from home, because we met the dude from Shaker at the market in Philly, and now here you are meeting this dude from Garfield out in the desert. And I think Cleveland is everywhere. I need y'all to understand that shit. And if you don't, you probably should.
And the thing about it too was he wasn't there because he was in town for the game. Yeah. He was there because he fucking lives there, and he was just going thrifting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a kind of a coincidence. So yeah, then like we went to a couple more shops. We went to this comic book store, And at this comic book store, they had all the System of a Down stuff. It was like plaques for like the albums, like when they went platinum and all that kind of shit, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why does this random comic book store have all the System of a Down stuff? And then I'm like looking over like this one section, and then they had the fucking drums from the 2006 tour for the drummer. And as like we were getting ready to leave, I look in this other case where they had some other like plaques and stuff.
Yeah.
And then inside of it, it had like a little card that said they had all that stuff from the private collection of the System of a Down drummer. And then if anyone was interested in anything, to inquire. So they didn't have like prices on anything, but if you wanted to kind of work out a deal for something, like you had to like ask, you know, and figure out like what was what. But I just didn't expect that when I went into the store, because I was just like, I'm like, does he own this place or something? Like, what the fuck?
That's what I literally thought you were about to tell me, that the guy from System of a Down owns the.
I mean, if he does, they didn't really specify that. It just kind of made it seem like they had his shit there on the consignment or something. But yeah, like I was just, it was like weird because like they're like my favorite band.
Yeah.
And so it was cool seeing like the Toxicity, you know, like Grammy kind of plaque kind of looking thing with like the colored record and everything, you know.
Yeah. What if he racked up some charges in Vegas and was like, I gotta get some shit sold to get this hotel paid off?
Maybe. I watched Mythical Kitchen, the last meal episode that they did with the lead singer, like this evening while I was doing some extra work.
Oh, is that who that dude is?
Yeah, Serge. I can never pronounce his last name. It's like Takarin or whatever. Okay. He's the lead singer of System of a Down.
Did not know that. I was just like, it's good. He seems I've only seen clips of it on the Tiki Tacs. So I have not watched the full video, but he seemed like a very cool dude. And that's the one they served like, the banana pie too.
Yeah. The video is like 43 minutes long. It was a lengthy one, but like I love that dude. He seems so nice. And like they're like my favorite band. Like there's other ones that are like close, but like I their music, I love their music. Like I can listen to it all the time. Yeah. So yeah. Then we went back to the hotel, and where the fuck did we eat dinner that night? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We didn't go back to the hotel yet. We ended up going, and my buddy wanted to get pizza. So, like, leading up to the trip, I had started getting a bunch of Las Vegas videos in my Instagram. Kind of like we watch all the Cleveland ones, like the Cleveland foodies and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had started getting Vegas stuff in my algorithm. And so I was like, I would see stuff like, oh, this restaurant here is this and this and that. And then I was like, I'd found one like a week before the trip that was like this guy's like top 5 like pizza places to eat at in Vegas or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I had sent him the video because, you know, he's the pizza guy. And we ended up going to one of the restaurants on that list. And it was kind of in like it's what they're called, their arts district or something.
Yeah.
And so we parked in like a little paid parking lot, and there was like street graffiti like all over the place. Like one of the polka stops that I had spawned was like a picture. It was a street art of Adam West as Batman. And then like I know my buddy took a bunch of pictures of it. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
But like so if you want to see some, you know, hit him up. But we went to this pizza place, and they sold like all like different styles of pizza. Like they had like where you could walk up and get like slices of Brooklyn, like New York style, and they also sold like Detroit style. So like I ordered like the meatball appetizer, which ended up being like a couple meatballs. So me and my buddy shared it because I had paid for breakfast. So like I was like, he's like, oh well, he goes, how much do I owe you? I'm like, you just cover dinner. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not about to sit here and count pennies.
Yeah.
So, like he ended up getting us dinner, and like I ordered like the meatball appetizer. We split that, and then we got their triple pepperoni deep dish pizza, or like their Detroit style. I mean, and we also each got a slice of the New York style pizza. Like he got like the pepperoni, and I got like the one that like mushrooms and pepperoni and sausage or something. And it was in this moment that I decided, I just think New York pizza is overrated. I don't like the thin, dry bottom crust pizza. Like, I just don't care for it. I much would rather eat Detroit style, like, pan deep dish style pizza. Like, I don't want to eat this like flimsy cracker tasting fucking crust pizza.
I only had New York pizza. The one time is from, of course, just a random Joe's, because everything in New York is Joe's, and it was fine. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want fine when I'm tripping. You know what I'm saying? I want brilliant. And if you came across some brilliant Detroit style out in the desert, fuck yeah, down.
It was really fucking good. Like, what was funny, because we had a piece or two left over.
Yeah.
That he had taken back to the hotel. So this was Saturday night, and he was flying out on Monday, whereas I was flying out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so, like, our hotel room was only for Monday. I was gonna move over to my other buddy's room for that last night. And so, like, he hadn't eaten anything for breakfast, so he took the pizza out of the mini fridge, and the whole room smelled like pepperoni. Like, it was that strong. He had, like, that pepperoni after 2 days in the fridge was still permeating the room when he took it out. Yeah. But yeah, so we got that pizza, and then I ordered like the dessert calzones, and those were really good.
Tell me more.
They had like calzones, but like the one half was like chocolate, and the other half was like pistachios, like crumbled up pistachios. So that was like, it was really good. Like it was two, and so I gave him one. We kind of split that.
Yeah.
And then basically went back to the hotel room and went to sleep, watched some TV, went to sleep. He went out gambling, okay. And I went to the room and just kind of like played on my phone, watched TV, and went to sleep, because I had no interest in gambling. I was already in enough of a financial hole on this trip to begin, without gambling. So then Sunday was the day of the football game. So, we got up, me, him, and my other buddy and his brother-in-law. We went over to Hash House, a go-go, and had breakfast. And then, we went over to the stadium, like I already said, watched the game. He left at halftime because of the whole heat thing. He wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
And so he Ubered back to the hotel and, cooled off and everything. We stayed to the end of the game, and obviously, that was a debauchery. And so we left the stadium, and once you're leaving that stadium, there's no easy way out of there because of its location.
Yeah.
It's like going to a Browns game here at home, where like your only option is to walk with a sea of people over a bridge that goes uphill the other way. Yeah. And so we basically, in 106-degree heat after a loss, had to trudge across a bridge like zombies, one step in front of the other, like tapping to get to the fucking Mandalay Bay.
Okay.
And so like we went over the Mandalay Bay, we had to use the bathroom. Yeah. And then we ended up like trying to figure out like what we were gonna do as far as like transportation was concerned, because there was a sea of people that had migrated that way. Yeah. And so we decided to kind of wait it out for a little bit. So we went over to this bar area and grabbed some drinks. I got water, obviously. And there was nowhere to really sit. But my one buddy is a salesman for his career. Yeah. And so he's good at just talking to random ass people. So he spotted this older couple that were sitting in these chairs by a couch by themselves. Yeah. And so he goes over there and he just goes, "Oh, is it okay if we all sit here?" And so like we sit down, and then like he's talking to the couple. I'm just kind of sitting there, just kind of like listening to everything. And we find out that like they're a married couple. They live in I want to say Portland.
Okay.
She's from LA, so she roots for the Raiders. He's from Cleveland. He roots for the Browns. And so they had been at the game and everything. And so we talked to them for a while. I eventually, I chimed in here and there, but like my one buddy did most of the talking. Yeah. And then like the the bar staff lady comes over and she just goes, I love that you guys have drinks already. She goes, but next time, get them from me. And that's when I noticed on the table is a little sign that says, you could sit here, but there's a 2-drink minimum. So that's when like everyone was kind of getting ready to go their own separate way. So we all kind of like did the whole scatter thing.
Yeah.
We're like, let's get the fuck out of here before she comes back. So we go over to like the Uber line, and it's a mile long. Like the taxi line's a mile long.
Yeah.
So we ended up hopping on the tram that takes you down to like the next hotel.
It's my favorite thing. I love that they have the monorail through Vegas like that.
The problem was there were so many people that I ended up not being able to get on the same train as the 2 people I was walking with.
Yeah.
So I had to wait for the next one.
Yeah.
And so like I get on the next one and I'm holding on to the railing, and then people are filing in. And so I'm on this train, and there's this little, like, this young woman who's basically just like hip to dick on me. Like, this complete stranger is literally nestled into me like we're in a relationship. Like, I understand that like we're short on space, but she is making no effort whatsoever. And don't like, I'm not trying to insinuate nothing, because she was with her family, I can tell.
For sure.
But like she like made no effort whatsoever to like try and like not touch me. Yeah. It was like it was almost like she just decided, all right, well, we're here now. This is what we're doing. So I was like, all right, well, if you're not gonna make it weird, I'm not gonna make it weird. Here we are. And then eventually they got off the train and we went our separate ways. But there was a couple minutes there where I was like, man, human contact.
Wiener deep in a fellow train passenger.
Yeah. Yep. So I got off at Excalibur. That's the name of the hotel.
Yeah.
And I met up with my people, and they ended up running into people that they knew. So they were talking for a little bit, and my buddy's like texted me. He's like, "Oh, you trying to get dinner?" And so I was just like, yeah, we can go to that soul food spot that I was talking to you about. And he's like, oh, I'd be down with that. So then I was like, all right, well, we're trying to make our way back down the strip right now, but like we're waiting on like the taxi line and everything. And I'm like, Ryan's talking to people, so it's going to be a bit. I had to explain who he ran into because that buddy also knows the same person that Ryan was talking to. So I had to be like, oh, it's this person. Like, they ran to each other. He goes, oh, okay. So eventually, like I was shocked. The conversation went a lot shorter than I thought it was going to. Mm-hmm. So like I was pleasantly surprised by that. So we get in the taxi line, and it's weird being in the taxi line and seeing the people that just keep going down the line who are like trying to coerce you into their car. Like it feels so shady and almost like you're almost like submitting to being abducted. Where they're just like, oh, I can take you there, $100. Like, you take me there, it'll take me to where the rest of your people are, where you're gonna harvest my organs. So yeah, we eventually get a taxi. We take it back to the hotel, and I'm fucking beat. Like, don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna have to suck it up, get cleaned up, drive this car. And so we get back to the hotel room, and I wanted to get something to drink, sit down for a little bit because I didn't really rest the whole ton for after I left the game. Like it was a long ass walk back to that hotel through that heat, and then trying to get through the sea of people to get down the strip and standing in line to get to the taxi and everything. Like there's a lot involved in all that. So I get back to the room, and he's just like, "Oh, you ready to go?" And I'm like, "Well, can I sit down for a few minutes? Can I get something to drink?" I'm like, "Let me recalibrate and then we can go." Yeah. So I'm sitting there for a second, and then I'm just like, wait a minute, this is fucking Forensic Files. So I'm watching the first couple minutes with him, and he's just like, oh, okay, you ready to go now? And I'm like, no. I'm like, you don't show me the first 5 minutes of the Forensic Files episode and then think we can just leave without finishing the Forensic Files episode. I'm like, we are staying till the end of this Forensic Files episode. I need to know how this fucking ends. So he's like, that's fine. So yeah, I ended up watching the whole episode of Forensic Files, and rest in peace to that lady. I'm glad they got your killer. I know that sounds like I'm making a joke of it. I'm really not trying to, but like this happened like seems like 20 some like they're almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, like so she's long since been gone before I ever knew it. And I feel really bad that, she was arped and murdered. But I'm like I said, yeah. Well, I'm trying to keep it PG for the stream here,
I know. I'm still just taken aback that that was the level of.
I'm just trying to make sure people know her story right now. That's all I'm trying to do.
Fair enough.
So I'm not saying it for shock value. I'm just presenting the facts as they were presented to me on the Forensic Files episode.
There you go.
And so we were to go to the soul food place that I had saw Demetria Obalor had reviewed on her Instagram page, because I follow Demetria Obalor for obvious reasons, and obviously one of those reasons is food reviews, right?
I don't think I know that. You make sure you send me her because I don't think I know that name.
You don't remember Traffic Bay?
No.
Oh man, she blew up a couple years ago. Like she was on like a Dallas morning show or something like that. She's a very, very beautiful Nigerian woman.
I think I do know her.
Yeah.
Dimitri. Man, nigga cannot spell Dimitri. Dimitri. What's her last name?
Obalor. Like Oblior or something like that.
Yeah. The one that comes up is blank, so I'm gonna assume that's not a person. It's really them.
She's got like 1.3 million Instagram.
Yeah. It just means I'm misspelling it. They're trying to get somebody who like me who's misspelling it. So.
The fuck? Oh. Here.
Boom! I got it. Demetria Obalor.
Okay, well,
and it does say you follow her along with some other friends.
Yep.
And she did Traffic, you say?
I believe she was known as Traffic Bay. It was around the time of Teacher Bay.
Okay.
They were just attaching bays to professions.
Well,
so if you were an attractive woman with a job, you were whatever that job was, Bay. And so I believe she was Traffic Bay.
A busty winch. Of the best quality possible version of winch. I want you to know. I say that with all love involved. Like a busty sea winch, if you will.
Well, she does do food reviews from time to time, and she went to this soul food spot in Vegas because she lives in Vegas.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man, this looks really good. I had showed it to my buddy like when we got there. He goes, I would go there. And I was like, well, say less. So like we're putting I put in the GPS and we're like driving to it. And earlier in the like trip, like the day before, I had remembered that Halal Guys was like in Vegas. And so like we had Googled it and to confirm that they were there, right? And so like we're heading towards the soul food restaurant. And at this point, it's like after 7:00 at night. And my buddy had to get up for work the next day.
Yeah. So
like he had to be up at like 5 a.m. to log on to work before like he could do his flight in the afternoon. So he kind of wanted to get to bed a little like earlier. And so like we're driving to the soul food place, which is only like 15 minutes away or so. But on the way there, we're at a traffic light, and he's looking out the window on his side. And he goes, "Oh shit, there's that Halal Guys you were talking about." And I turn and I'm like, "Oh shit." I'm like, I'll have to remember that tomorrow. And I'm like, unless you want to go there right now, because I told him like I had talked it up, And he goes, yeah, I'll go there. I'm like, well, I mean, like we're already going to the soul food place. I'm like, would you rather do that? And he goes, I'm fine doing that, especially if that means that like we can be back sooner. Yeah. He goes, I'm fine going to the soul food spot too, but like, I would like to get to bed as early as possible. And I was like, that's fine. Like, I'm like, Hello Guys is right here. That'll save us the time there, the time back. And I'm like, it's really good. I'm like, I want to get it anyway, so that's fine. So we pull in and everything and go inside, and I got like the double meat. I got double Euro meat with like the rice, the onions, the lettuce. I had no tomato. I got the white sauce. I got the hummus. I got olives. And then they were also selling wings, so like for like a limited times. So I sent you guys that picture. So I got like the 8-pack of wings, and then I got like a fountain drink, and it was just as good as I remembered. Like, you know, like it hits. Like the white sauce is absolutely terrible for you. Don't get me wrong. Like that shit is just.
We don't.
I mean,
into it.
well, see, I didn't mean to, but like I got like the white sauce on it, but then like the dude also gave me packets of the white sauce, like on the like for my tray because we ate there.
Yeah,
and obviously like the nutritional information was sitting me right in the face, and so it's like it's horrible for you. Like it tastes amazing, but like if you want to be healthy, do not eat it.
If you're eating the halal guys and you're just eating there because you're on a trip or whatever, it's just the one time. You know what I'm saying? Worry not. If you eat the halal guys every day or weekly, maybe not the white sauce every time. Okay. Or just way less white sauce.
Yeah, like don't put like 3 packets on there plus whatever they sprinkled on there before like you put it on there. Like dial it back on the white sauce.
Fuck, man, I would love. God, I want some halal guys now, man. I truly wish we had something like it around here that I could be like, all right, that'll at least scratch the itch. But fuck, man, needs that.
It was just as good as I remember.
I trust.
Yeah, like 100% would eat again. So yeah, we ate and then went back to the hotel. He went to sleep. I played on my phone for a little while. And then the next day he got up and was working, and then I got up and like I kind of like packed up all my shit the day before because I knew I had to sashay to the other room.
Yeah. So
but my buddy's room who I was going to, he was also leaving Monday morning.
Okay.
So he dropped off the room key to me because like what had happened was I was supposed to room with somebody else, and then like I told you, they didn't make the trip.
Yeah.
So like we canceled their room, and I was gonna have to book a room. But my buddy is like a 7-star member or whatever with Caesars.
Yeah.
So like he basically just gets free rooms. So he just extended his room for another night for free and just gave me the room key.
Dope.
So I took my buddy to the airport, and I told him I was going to go to In-N-Out. So like I was like, if you want, I'll just take you to the airport. You know, like I could drop you off. It's no big deal. And he goes, well, I'd like to go to In-N-Out. I'm like, all right, that's fine. And then before like we even left the hotel, his anxiety had gotten so bad that like he was afraid of like missing his flight because he went to In-N-Out or something.
Yeah. That
he like went ahead and just had me take him to the airport. So I dropped him off at the airport, and then I came back and got In-N-Out. And then I drove back to the hotel, parked, and I ate the In-N-Out in the car just so I could like kind of look outside and not just go immediately back to the room.
Yeah.
And I always thought In-N-Out was kind of just like okay.
Yeah.
But like having had it again, it's nothing special. Like the shake's really good, but the fries fucking suck, and like the burger's just fine. Like I guess I just in my mind I had kind of like bought into the hype because we don't have them here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just fucking McDonald's with a different name. It's better quality beef probably, but like but the rest of it, it's just fucking McDonald's with shittier fries that they just have to hide in cheese, sauce, and onions.
God, In-N-Out fries are absolute blech. Just they're bitter in a way that I don't enjoy. It's because they fry them whole fresh, so they cut them right then and there and drop them in the fat. So fries usually got to get a par fry first, and then a second fry, and that's how you get a delicious fry. But that's not how they work there, and it's just like it's not for me. To all my In-N-Out lovers, I'm glad you got something you get down with. It's just not for. Well, one, I can't eat anything there. Well, except for their French fries, and they make an awful grilled cheese. Awful. Okay, don't ever get it In-N-Out grilled cheese. It's just not worth it. Shakes are great. They do a real spun ice cream and shit like that there. So they do make a mean shake.
Yeah, shake's fantastic. No denying that.
Yeah.
And like if I'm around, like if I lived there and I wanted a burger, I'd eat the burger. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. But like flying all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, and then like in your mind going like this is going to be amazing. Like that's where I was at.
Yeah.
And like now that I've had it again, because it had been like 5 years since I last had it. it's fine. But it's like,
again, we just said fine is not good enough when you're on a trip. You want brilliant, and In and Out ain't that. It's fine, and that's dope. You know what I'm saying? For those who fuck with In and Out, but if you don't, it's like, well, that was not a waste of time. You were fed, you got your sustenance. It didn't, you know what I'm saying? It was fine. You moved on. What'd you get?
I got the double. I got 2 doubles because I knew I wasn't gonna eat a ton that day. Like, my plan was to eat and then go back to the hotel room and then not leave the hotel for the rest of the day. So I got like a strawberry shake with animal style fries.
Yeah.
Then I got an animal style double and then a regular double so I could kind of compare the two.
Yeah.
And the animal style double was so fucking sloppy.
Yeah.
Like, it was every bite I took, just sauce fell everywhere. Like, I needed like a fucking bib and a hazmat suit or something.
Truly wish you would have filmed it. Had I known, I would have been like, film this, please. Thank you. That's what we try. Content, baby, content. What pulled your eye?
I was just looking at some of my gambling results.
Oh, okay.
Some of my bets hit, so I don't know like where the dust is going to settle, but they're not all losses right now.
Fair.
That one won. That one won. That one won. That lost. That's 48. We may end up positive on this side, but it won't be by much. But might still be positive. So yay! Well,
Excellent.
that doesn't include what's over here. So what's on this other? Like that tracking app doesn't track. It doesn't have the capability of tracking this other app. And I had bets on this other app today. So let's see where we are here. Although I guess like this one's not until Sunday.
Holy shit! The links have come back. It's a tie game at OT in the first game of the WNBA Finals. 84 all.
Oh.
As I produce this show right now, so that's dope. And Seattle seems to be mounting a bit of a comeback right now. 23-17.
Yeah, I have that game on the TV right here, or the monitor to my left. All right, well, this bet over here won. This one I don't think is going to win. That one's on Sunday. This one's right now. I need 18 yards out of Kenneth Walker for that boost to hit. This one's currently going, but it hasn't hit. If Kenneth Walker can get 18 more rushing yards and catch one more pass, that will be really great for my bottom line. So, all in all, won't be a terrible night. Won't be a highly profitable night, if at all, but, you know, way better than a horribly losing night.
Also, apparently, next season, the WNBA is going to a best of 7 finals. They currently do best of 5, which always seemed whack to me. Like, maybe do 5, do 7, baby.
I've seen them talking about expansion and maybe Cleveland getting a team back.
I would love to have a team back. I don't know if I really want the Rockers back because, you know, we got the Browns back and you see what we get out of it. Maybe just start from scratch, start fresh. Just saying, my ass.
Yeah, I don't think the Rockers would be. I don't think it would fit the times.
Yeah. So last day, whatever. Just a bit of like, let me just chill in this room.
Yeah. So I got the In and Out, and then I went back to the room and I was watching some TV, lounging around, and I had a plan. So the room had a jacuzzi tub.
Big.
So I filled it up with hot water, like just hot water. Like I didn't even turn the cold on. And I let it fill up while I was watching some TV. Then I turned the water off when it got to the level where it would run the jets. Yeah. Because you had to like fill it up to a certain point so that the water hit the mechanism. Yeah. And so like I kind of let the water cool for a while I was watching TV. And then my only regret was that I didn't have a bath bomb for it. But you know, I got in the water and like in the tub, got in the jets. I used like the soap, the bar of soap to kind of like suds up a little bit. And so I laid in the hot water for probably about 45 minutes. And so I started getting really pruny. And then, I drained the water out, got up out of the tub. And it's amazing how you can feel the difference in the gravity as the water's going down, that you suddenly feel yourself being pressed down more than you did beforehand. So I got up out of the tub and then I went and I kind of like cleaned off in the shower.
Yeah,
just because
same.
like to get the soap off me,
Yeah.
laying in your own essence for a while, you need to get that off you. And then I had like decided that I was gonna eat some food at the hotel. And so I had like saw that there was like this noodle shop downstairs, like by the food court area. And so like I pulled them up on like on Google to try and figure out like what times they were open and all that shit. And when I was looking that up, I realized that you needed a reservation for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh fuck. Well, I'm like, maybe I can just order it. And so I went on their thing and like I could order it and they'd bring it to the room. So I've never ordered food like to a hotel room before, from a hotel like that before. Like you and I got an Uber Eats when we were in Tennessee, but that's different.
Yeah.
So it's true, man. They fucking take you over the coals with like charges and costs and everything. Like I paid $70 for the food and for the service fees and for the woman to bring it to me. And let me tell you this, it was not a $70 meal. Like I thought I ordered like the chicken teriyaki from the restaurant. I got these like onion and chive pancakes. And then I ordered like, they were basically, it was like dessert pork buns almost, but like they were like the sticky buns and they were filled with egg yolks and sugar.
Okay.
So, but like the chicken teriyaki didn't come with noodles or rice or anything. It was just fucking chicken in a box. And so I was like, what the fuck? I was expecting it to be over. Like I didn't realize I had to buy the carbs separate, I thought it was like the noodle house. It came with noodles or rice or something. And because the menu didn't say that it didn't come with nothing.
Yeah.
So like it was kind of fucking disappointing for how much I paid for what I got. But I will say that the food itself was fantastic. Like the pancakes were amazing. The chicken was okay. I like it. It was definitely like you could tell it was from a higher quality place.
Yeah.
But like it was just fine. And then like the dessert buns were actually like I was like so impressed with how good they were. So then like I just watched like the Monday Night Football game, kind of hung out, and then I went to bed probably around I went to bed around 9 Vegas time, so around midnight our time. And then I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning. I had the alarm set for 6 a.m. because I had to like check out of the hotel. I had to return the rental car and get to the airport because my flight was at like 10 a.m.
Okay.
So I woke up early and I decided to just get up. So I got up and I had packed everything the night before. So all I had to do was just grab my coat and my phone and everything and leave. So I go downstairs and I go to the desk and I'm like, hey, I got to check out this room. And I'm just like, hey, I have a question. When I'm like, I had moved rooms. So like I'm checking out of my buddy's room right now. I'm like, he already left yesterday. The room was in his name. I'm like, but I was staying in this other room and we had a parking pass on that room so that I could come and go from the garage. And I didn't give me a ticket. I'm like, but the machine says in order to leave the garage, you need a ticket. But now, like, the parking pass is expired because that room was checked out of yesterday. I'm like, so right now I'm in the parking garage and I don't have a working room key and I don't have a ticket because the machine wouldn't give me one because of the pass.
Yeah.
I'm like, so how am I supposed to get out? And she goes, well, 7-star diamond member. I'm like, that's not me. I told you that's the guy who left yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have 7-star membership. She goes, well, then you need to hit lost ticket on the machine. And I'm just like thinking like, that's not very help desk of you, but okay. You're just basically telling me to go fuck myself and to go spend a day's worth of parking money. But all right, whatever. So like she gives me the receipt for my buddy's room charges and all that shit. She's like, oh, you want me to charge it to the credit card on file? I'm like, well, yeah. I'm like, I didn't buy this shit.
Thanks.
Yeah. So she gives me the printout and everything. And then I leave. And so you have to walk through basically the entire casino because they do that on purpose. They put the self-parking on the other side so that if you want to get to the hotel, you have to walk through the casino and be tempted and the food court and the casino to be tempted to buy stuff. So I had to walk I walked through this casino so many fucking times over this weekend. Like, I know the layout of this bitch front and back. Like, it is insane. So I walk all the way over to the where the self parking is. This is one of those times where I'm glad that I bought this new luggage bag because I could just drag this bitch with me rather than carrying that fucking duffel bag with me through Caesar's Palace for the umpteenth time. And so I get over to the area where you take the elevator up to get to the parking garage levels, and in the lobby there they have like the pay machine.
Yeah.
There's no lost ticket button on the pay machine. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess maybe it'll be on the gate.
Yeah.
So I go to the rental car, I put my luggage in, I go to the gate. Same thing. It's the exact same layout as the pay machine in the lobby. Yeah. There's no fucking lost ticket button on the parking machine. So I tried, like, my buddy had left our room keys in like the little cup holder. So I grabbed one and I tried swiping it on the keypad, and it told me that the key wasn't active. So I was like, well, I already knew that, but now, like, I know I can't use it. So then I'm like, I guess I have no choice. So I hit the little help button on the panel.
Yeah.
And so, like, it starts ringing. And then all of a sudden the gate just opens up.
Dope.
So I'm like, fuck it. I'm out. And I just hit the gas. I'm like, there's no takebacks. Once I'm out of here, you can't stop me.
No takebacks.
Yeah. Like, I'm not about to, like, let the gate come back down. Like, I'm going through. I don't care.
For
so
sure.
I fucking gunned it, and I got out of there. I didn't even wait for someone to come on the intercom. So I left. And then, obviously, having never rented a car before, as I said earlier in the show, I've also never returned a car to the rental place before. So I didn't know where the fuck to go. Yeah. So I just figured I would type in I put the address. Also, I had to fill all the gas tank up. Yeah. So I had to go find a gas station before I took it to the rental place. Because they wanted to charge me like an insane amount of money to bring it back as is. And I was like, no, thank you. I can pump gas. I will bring it back to you with what you had. So I get back. I get to the rental place, and I just followed the signs. I was like actually really pleased with how easy it was to figure out where I had to go.
Yeah.
So I pulled up to the line, and I'm sitting there because I'm thinking, I'm like, well, someone has to come over and fucking like tell me to leave or give me instructions or something. I'm not about to just leave it sitting here. So the guy comes over and he like scans the little thing, and he's like, okay, you can leave the keys in, you can go. And I was like, he goes, we'll email you your receipt. And I was watching my email with bated breath because 2 days prior, I noticed they had overcharged me by like $200.
Okay. And
I was like, why the fuck did they overcharge me? Am I going to have to get fucking loud and obnoxious on somebody? But I went to Google and I saw people on Google talking about how they overcharge for like a safety security deposit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because the thing was they had charged me, like, the whole thing was supposed to be like $430.
Yeah.
And when I prepaid, like, they said they're taking half of it, like when you do the resi. They don't tell you that they're taking a $200 deposit.
They do.
So they took like $319 from me, which was like over 75% of the fucking final charge.
Yeah.
And then once I picked up the car, they took another $330 on my card. So I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, this isn't what I agreed to. But then, yeah, obviously, like, I returned the car, and then they changed the amount, so they took the $200 off. So I got my $200 back.
If you look at if you were to go and look at your credit card, like whatever, it even just says it's like a deposit or some shit. It never goes through. It just kind of sits there. Now, like I said, of course, the money's not there. Like, you couldn't spend it because whatever, but it's not really taken out either.
Yeah,
it's like in parentheses or whatever. Yeah.
So, yeah, they switched it, and so like I took the shuttle back to the airport, and I'm in line. Like, this is the first time where like I really got kind of annoyed with like the service at the airport, because like I was flying back home Frontier because it was the only direct flight that I could get, and they had like one of those like extra room seats still available up front with like no one in the middle and the extra leg room. So like it wasn't gonna have Wi-Fi, but at least it was gonna be somewhat comfortable as far as the plane ride was concerned. But like Frontier hires some of the shittiest people, and so like they do the whole thing where they have the terminals that you walk up to and like you scan your boarding pass thing, QR code on your phone, and it prints out your boarding pass or whatever. But the problem is they set the fucking line for like the desk where you give the woman your baggage in the middle of the fucking scan towers.
Yeah.
So like in order to get the boarding pass, you have to walk past the line you're supposed to be in. Then you got to go back around and get in the line that you had to walk past initially to get to where you're going. And so like it's just getting crowded because there's people coming in the line that don't know where to go. They can't get through. And then they're trying to hold spots while the rest of their family goes and scans all the passes so that no one can get by them. And then it's just building up a mass of humanity bottlenecking this line. And then there's like this woman there who's running the line, but she's just like got the most insufferable attitude. She's making no effort to be helpful and to direct people. She was giving off the like, I can't believe I'm bothered enough to be working here today kind of attitude. And then she was just being short with everybody who tried to talk to her. She was the first person where like I dealt with all weekend where I just wanted to be like, fuck you. So, which I guess the fact that this was like the flight home. Well, I guess, all right, besides the initial interaction I had with the one stewardess,
yeah,
which turned out okay. But yeah, she was like the first person where I was really like, you were being really insufferable for no good reason.
Yeah.
So I get up to the line, like to the front where the woman's like taking my bag to put on the conveyor belt thing to load onto the plane. And all of a sudden, this is where I mentioned earlier in the show where like my safety I thought was going to be in question. This, like, I don't know. I can't speculate on this woman's living situation or her mental status, but she came into the airport and she went over to the people who were running the JetBlue check-in station and was just shouting at everybody about like stuff being bullshit and she wasn't going to take it and she wanted to talk to a manager and she didn't give a fuck if people called security on her, that she wasn't going to be stopped and she was going to be heard. And I was just waiting on gunshots to start fucking blasting. Because I'm like, this is how shit pops off. Like, because we're not through security yet. So this woman hasn't gone through a metal detector. Like, anything could fucking happen right now. You know? So thankfully, like, security came over and kind of ushered her outside. I don't know what the fuck her problem was. Like, so whatever it was, hopefully it got sorted out. But I got out of there as quick as I fucking could. So I went over the TSA line, and let me tell you, the TSA line on a Tuesday morning in Las Vegas, about 1,000 times faster than the TSA line that I dealt with in Cleveland. Yeah. I literally walked right up to the fucking like booth. They had like 4 times as many people scanning IDs. The line was actually like people ushering you around, telling you where to go. Yeah. And I just like, I get to the front of the line immediately and I immediately got sent over to someone to scan my ID. So I was like, thank God. So then like I go over to the metal detector area, I put all my shit in the thing. I go through the metal detector, hands up, whatever. They pulled me over for the fat pat down. And the dude's like, all right, stand here, keep your arms like at your side like this. He goes, is it okay if I pat you down? And I'm like, oh yeah, do your thing. Because I was expecting it. Yeah. But then he tells me that he's patting me down because the metal detector machine told them that I had metal on my dick. Like he showed me the heat scan on the screen. Like it literally looked like I was like holding like a hunk of metal on my crotch. Like I had like a metal cup on or something.
I want you to know, I just typed the fat pat down, muted my microphone to type and everything, and now it's metal on my dick. It's your alternate title. I can never give this as your actual title, but metal on my dick just became your alt title for this episode.
So like I was just kind of like, well, I was like, oh yeah, you know, touch whatever you want. I don't care. But like in my mind, I'm thinking like, why is this machine telling them I have metal on my dick? Like,
you figure it out?
No, because like I was literally just wearing blue basketball shorts and I had on like nylon quick dry underwear, like the wiki shit. Yeah. That's it. There was nothing metal about my crotch.
I trust as much. I was wondering what was reflecting back of them. The quick dry draws got something in them
that was the only thing I could think of because like I'm like there's nothing else there unless I have like metal just floating around in my body that's like just taking up residency in my nut region.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, obviously he patted and prodded and he talked and he dug around and he didn't find nothing, so he let me go. And so at this point, I had like over 2 hours before my flight was supposed to like board or take off. Like it was supposed to board in like an hour and 45 or whatever. Because I got through surprisingly fast.
Yeah.
And I was worried about missing my flight, so I made sure to get there early. So at this point, I'm like, well, shit, I guess like I'll just find some food or something. So I go to the terminal and there's like a diner there.
Yeah.
So I got seated at the bar area and I ordered like some scrambled eggs and hash browns and I got like, a tea, iced tea. So I had like a very mediocre breakfast and then I did my usual bathroom break and then I went and sat down by the gate, hung out there for a little bit, and then this is the other thing about Frontier that like is so fucking bootleg. So I already told you about like the shitty customer service woman they had like at the check-in spot. So like I had like priority boarding on Frontier. Not that like here's the thing about like when you have an assigned seat, I don't give a fuck about priority boarding at that point. Because if I'm in like row 3, I don't need to be on the plane first.
Yeah.
Like I already know where I'm sitting. I would rather you put the other 36 rows on and make them cramped and uncomfortable than like force me on there in like, the first 5 minutes. Cause like also like I don't bring like a carry-on bag. I carry a little drawstring bag with me, like a little soccer bag, and I just put it under the seat in front of me. And so like I don't need to rush onto the plane to try and get anything into the overhead bins. So that doesn't matter to me. So like but like they board you in stages, right? So like I went up with my group. But like the problem is they called like 4 different groups at the same time. So like what's the point of being in like group A if you're going to call group A and families and military veterans and like handicapped people and group, like you were calling everybody all at once. So like this whole like half the fucking gate that was sitting there got up and got into line immediately. And then so like we're crowding the hallway and then you're getting mad that we're crowding the hallway, but you called 4 groups of people up at the same time. What the fuck did you expect? So like I get on the plane and like I get in my seat and everything, and like I didn't need a seatbelt extender on this, so I that was the big ups to Frontier seatbelts. And because I bought the extra room, I didn't like they took out basically like a row and just kind of spread rows 1 and 2 up a little bit, so I had plenty of leg room. I was guaranteed to not have anyone in between me and the other guy. So I had a spacious flight home, but because there was no Wi-Fi, I was left to just read that comic book trade back that I bought. And I did. The problem was I finished it with half the flight still to go.
For sure.
And so that's when I was like, well, fuck, that was a good idea, but I should have bought another one. Because then I had like almost 2 hours of just like, well, what the fuck do I do now? Because I don't have internet, so I can't play videos. Like, I don't have mobile data, so I can't play mobile games. I don't have any more reading material. And it's cloudy outside, so, like, I can look out the window, but I can't see shit half the time. So I kind of just, like, stared out the window as best I could, and then I kind of just took, like, mental naps for a little bit. Like, I thought about some things.
Yeah.
And then I just look out the window again for a while. And then, I just did that for like 2 hours until we landed. I looked around the cabin a little bit. That was about it. That was all I could really do. Like, because I wasn't like gonna go to sleep or nothing.
I am well, I don't know. I feel like I don't know how much you play with that iPad, but I'm shocked you didn't just fill the iPad with some books or whatever and just bring that with you for flight usage.
I didn't have any Wi-Fi experience prior to that day on the flight.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was like, I don't know. I was ill prepared. I will admit. I thought like the comic book would be enough to kind of get me through more than it did, and it didn't. So, I guess if I just know going forward, either just make sure you get a flight with Wi-Fi or bring more reading material.
So not everything, but a good number of the apps now will allow you to download stuff so you can watch on, when you don't have a Wi-Fi situation. If you're like, so it's gonna have to call home because all these apps want to call home for a hot second, but you can usually just like, okay, I'm in the airport right quick. Let me log to the airport Wi-Fi so everything can call, just go through, open your apps, let everything call home and say I'm here. I have told you that I'm in this environment, and then usually you're good to go for like everything. Like I said, if you downloaded some books on what used to be Comixology, but then it's now just a Kindle app, if I'm not mistaken, or whatever. But I mean, that's learning. Like I said, like everything's learning, and a learning experience currently. So nothing wrong with that. Next time. So
Yeah. So I got my flight home, landed safely, and then my buddy picked me up, and I went home, and then like my brother had like been fiending to come over, and so like I'd gotten Chipotle. My brother came over for a little bit, and I just kind of watched some TV, and eventually like went to bed. Then the next day, I was kind of like dead to the world,
yeah,
so I didn't really do much of anything on Wednesday. Then Thursday, I hung around the afternoon, watched some TV and stuff, and then my parents, like my dad, my stepmom, and my sister and I, we went out to dinner for my birthday.
yeah.
And so I took them to Agave and Rye and had a nice little taco dinner. But then I had to like come home because I had to get up on Friday morning and leave immediately to go to Wisconsin for a wedding.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. And so I barely got any sleep because I wasn't tired when I came home.
Yeah.
And so I didn't go to bed until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I got woken up at 5:30 by the sound of the one dude getting in the shower. And then like I fell asleep for another hour, but then I had to get up at like 7 something to like get dressed and everything to go. Thankfully, I had packed the day before.
Yeah.
So I just had to get up and get dressed and become coherent and whatnot. So we hit the road a little after 8, stopped at Sheetz. They filled up the car with gas and grabbed some food and stuff. And we went to some sushi place in Illinois. It was called like Jet Blue or something like, or it was something blue, aqua blue or something like that. I don't know. It was basically a One Piece themed sushi restaurant, like the cartoon.
Yeah.
So we ate there for lunch, and then we eventually got to like our hotel, which was like on the border of Wisconsin and Illinois. Like literally like Beloit and South Beloit was like the area we were staying in. Like Beloit was in Wisconsin, South Beloit was in Illinois. And we were on the Illinois side for the hotel, but like the wedding and everything was on the Wisconsin side. So like Friday night, we ended up going to dinner at this restaurant. Like it was like the groom, the bride, and like we thought it was going to be like her family too, but her family didn't really make it. So it was just kind of like me, the people I rode with, and then like his brother.
Okay.
And it was like kind of like the town restaurant, if you will, like because this isn't like a heavily populated area. So this is kind of like the restaurant that the people in the town go to eat at on like Fridays and shit. It's like on the river. It looks kind of nice on the outside. It's got a lot of seating on the inside. And it's got some fucking mediocre shit food. And I think it's one of those places where the people who live there think it's like amazing. But like, and this is where I kind of like started to think like, man, do I just ride for Cleveland because I'm from Cleveland and I love it, and we're really not as good as like we try to think we are, because like people come from out of town, they're always hating and shit, and we're like, no, Cleveland's amazing. Was I doing that to this place where like people are like, man, our restaurant is amazing, you're just hating? But it's just like, no, man, your food fucking sucks. Like I ordered So
what level of suck? Swiss Chalet?
Yes.
Ooh.
Like I saw the burgers that the people at my table got look just like Swiss Chalet. I ordered the fried cod, like 2-piece fried cod, and they had like 5 or 6 different variations of potatoes you could get, like baked,
au gratin, mashed, potato pancake. Like no, literally, it was just on the menu, right? And so I had narrowed it down to where I was going to get au gratin potatoes or the potato pancakes.
Yeah.
So I asked the waitress, I was like, hey, which do you think is better here? She told me she liked the au gratin better. So I was like, fine, I'll go with your suggestion. I'll get the au gratin potatoes. So, like, the cheese curds that we'd ordered as an appetizer for the table, they were fine. And so then, like, the fish and my au gratin potatoes come, and, like, the fish is just kind of, like, slimy on the inside, and, like, not a lot, there's no real, like, no seasoning on it. Like, it was definitely cooked by a white person. It was just, like, unenjoyable. Like, the tartar sauce was, like, trying its best to save it, but, like, it just wasn't doing nothing. And then the au gratin potatoes, like, when I think au gratin potatoes, I think, like, the potato slices with, like, the cheese sauce, or I think of, like, the layered potatoes in the pan, like the 1,000 layers, you know, like that kind of au gratin. What I got was Waffle House hash browns with some cold cheese, like, intermingled in it.
Holy shit!
It was literally like the Walmart Great Value morning hash brown, shredded hash browns out of the freezer section with some cold Kraft cheese mixed in with it. That was my au gratin potatoes.
I ordered cheese eggs in Canada once in Toronto. And I mean, you know what you got. You know what the expectation is, and that's what they handed me was a plate of eggs with shredded cheese just sitting on top of it, not melted in the least, not anything in the least.
Yeah,
I have walked this walk with before, sir.
So like, I did my best to just eat and not complain because like, I didn't want to like make it a thing while I was there because I didn't want to insult the people because like I'm never going back there. So, like, y'all can have your shitty restaurant and love it to death and enjoy your Fridays there with your family. Like, I'm not trying to rain on this parade. So, I kept it to myself. And then, like, you know, like, we leave. And then, like, I'm talking to the people that I was, like, there with, that, like, we rode with. And I was like, nah, man, that place sucked. And they were like, yeah, that place fucking sucked. They were
now,
like,
why did you choose it just because it was there? Or was there, had it been recommended? What was the
That was what the wedding party decided. And like the father, I think, was like, he's the one who kind of like spearheaded it too. He told us at the wedding that they were thinking about having the wedding there. But like they couldn't like really book it. And I was like, thank God. Because like if we had to eat that food for the wedding, Jesus Christ. Like that shit was terrible.
Holy shit.
But yeah, like, so they ended up going out to like a bar, and I just asked them to take me back to the hotel because like I was exhausted. And so I just wanted to go back to the hotel, kind of unwind, watch some Hotel Food Network, and play on my phone. And so that's what I did while they went out drinking and whatnot. And then, you know, I went to bed sometime after midnight, and you know, we got up the next day, and I showered and shaved and all that shit, and then we ended up going and getting food at some local eatery, like a pub, and that was pretty good. I think it was called like the Roadhouse or something like that. It had like a bulldog on the sign, so it was like Roadhouse or the Roadhouse. It was something like that.
Yeah,
but they had like really good breakfast food. Like I got like steak and eggs, and it came with pancakes, and I got like a half order of biscuits and gravy to try. And so like it was really good food there. Much unlike the first place. The first place was called The Rock. And The Rock, I did not smell what he was cooking.
The Rock needed to roll on.
Yeah. So there was also like Pokemon Community Day that afternoon. And so like we did a little bit, but like not a ton. I did enough to where like I got 6 shinies.
Okay.
So I got like at least my initial 3 that I need. And then the wedding was at like 5. Now, this is kind of funny and sad, so bear with me. So my buddy who was getting married, his mom apparently was in the hospital like earlier in the week or something. I don't exactly know the reason, but she was kind of like a weeble wobble.
Okay.
If people understand what I'm saying, like she weebled and wobbled, but she didn't fall down. Except when she was like in her hotel room and shit, she fell down a couple times there. But like, so they had to get her to the wedding, but like for some reason, this person who's always sick doesn't own a wheelchair, so they were going to be cutting it really short, trying to find a wheelchair and then getting her to the wedding.
Yeah.
So apparently the brother who was driving the mom and the stepdad, he ended up going to a Walmart to try and buy a wheelchair. But he was informed by the Walmart that they don't keep wheelchairs in stock, that they have to be ordered.
Yeah.
So he, without permission,
Procured.
borrowed the Walmart wheelchair that they have on hand for patrons and took it to the wedding site at a hotel so that the mom could be wheelchaired up to the wedding.
Yeah.
And then
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, so it was like some shit you would see in like a movie. Like because like they come with the mom in the wheelchair, and then once they get her out of the wheelchair into like a hotel chair, the one guy that I was with, he drove the wheelchair back to the Walmart to return it before anyone realized it was missing. So it was kind of like in Avengers Endgame where they took the Infinity Stones off the timeline and then they placed them back to, like the timeline never was altered.
Who was Steve Rogers? Who stayed behind?
I guess it would be the guy who returned it, right? But yeah, they did a little ceremony. They got married. No one ran away. We like it was funny. I told them, like I told my buddy later in the night, I was like, it was really interesting sitting here watching you guys pull off a wedding with a room full of people who just suffer heavily from social anxiety. Because like they didn't really have a huge wedding. It was just kind of like us, was that we were there for him.
Yeah.
And then like she had like, her family there. And that was about it. It was a room maybe of like 25 people tops.
Okay.
And so like it was real sparse. Someone there had 2 young kids, like they had PJ wearing age kids, that I thought like the one looked kind of like Damien from the Omen movies, and he kind of acted like it. And I also thought that like they were gonna get seriously injured because they were running around with no like adult supervision, and like on the patio was like an open fire pit with like a couch that they were jumping off of and shit. And
Yeah.
the one kid was climbing on the railing of the roof of the 4th floor that we were on. And so like, I thought for sure one of these kids was going to get severely injured or die. But it ended up not happening.
Yet.
If it happens now, I had nothing to do with it.
Well, even if it happened then, you had nothing to do with it. Just
I
would
know,
have been
but
a whole different story.
I mean, I didn't make any effort to stop it either,
It's not your kids. You ain't supposed to.
Goddamn right. That's something we were talking about that, like the little group I was with. I was like, what the fuck is with these people? Like, I'm like, we would have never done that. Like, when I was a kid, me and my siblings would have sat there quiet. Like, my sisters probably would have caused a little bit of a scene crying because they couldn't keep their emotions to themselves. I'm like, but like me and my brothers, or like we would have just, my one brother, and then like the cousin we would have had with us. I'm like, we would have just sat there. We would have like been quiet. We would have looked around. We would have talked to each other. I'm like, but like these kids just like fucking running around here unsupervised, like they don't have any sense. No one's stopping them. I'm like, this is why they're gonna fail. There's no one teaching them structure. Like they're just running around here like with free reign to get into all kinds of trouble, destroy property, fucking get hurt. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But whatever, not my wedding, not my family. That, let them fucking do what they will. Man, the 49ers fucking scored that quick.
All right.
They got an interception and they scored like 2 plays later. So yeah, the wedding was nice. They played a lot of 80s music. They had pretty good food. I'm not gonna lie, like as far as wedding food goes, it was pretty solid.
How was the cake?
Nothing. It was so all right. I went on a little bit of a rant when we were eating the cake, and so what we were told was they had ordered a cake from someone, but then that person ghosted them, so they had to kind of scramble and find another cake. And so I don't know if this was their first choice or if this is what they could get, whatever, right? But what I will say was it was a vanilla cake and it had like white interior frosting, like lighter frosting with like sliced strawberries. However, my critique of this cake was in that they didn't use buttercream. They used that fucking disgusting buttery bullshit on the outside. Not as quite as bad as you would get it like on a Walmart cake.
Yeah.
But it was still the kind that when you take a bite, your mouth feels like you were sucking on a butter stick with that fake like aerosol feel.
Yeah, my mom
and I was
for hash.
Yeah, and I was just like, why would you go to the trouble of making such a beautiful interior with sliced strawberries and all that? And then you fucking cheap, you wussy out and you do this cheap fucking frosting on the outside. I was like, you just sullied all of your hard work.
You know how hard I am about cake. That it would have been a fucking problem. Lord knows, like I said, I have no desire or dreams to get married ever again. But if I do, you trust. It's gonna be the best cake you ever had in your fucking life because I don't play.
Yeah. But like I said, wasn't my wedding, wasn't my cake. I didn't want anyone whose wedding or cake it was to feel bad that I thought the cake was lacking because it wasn't my cake to enjoy. It was my cake to share.
Fair.
So I voiced my opinion to the private party I was with, and it went no further. Unless they all listen to this episode now, they will know that I thought the cake was kind of lacking. But it was a beautiful wedding. Happy for them.
Was it?
The wedding itself, yeah. Like the ceremony, like it was nice seeing someone who was very excited for the decision that they made and they were happy with what they were doing.
Fuck with it.
Especially like me knowing where they came from.
Yes.
And how they've turned their life around to this point to get to this point.
Yeah.
I was happy that they were nervous, but they were doing their best to keep it together and they got through it and they seem like they're in a good place.
Good.
Like we went and saw like where they live. They live in a nice apartment. It's very big. Like now they're newlywed, the father got them hooked up with a pretty solid job. So they got a good situation going. It's an impressive turnaround from where they were a few years back when they were struggling with, dependency and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I was happy to see them find their version of love. And I hope everything works out in the long run. Like I never know. You never know with people anymore. Like I'm not saying that there's any inkling of anything here. I'm just always kind of skeptical with any marriage. People like talk like marriages last forever, but our divorce rates are like the highest they've ever been.
Yeah.
So I hope that everything goes well from them and they're happy until they depart or whatever. Though everyone at the wedding that we interacted with was very cordial. The father was personable. The bartender was very nice and went and got me unsweetened tea from downstairs. The food was pretty solid outside of the cake frosting, and the venue ended up being very nice. It was on the roof of this hotel, and they had the patio. Like they had done it like married. They got married out on the patio portion of it, and then we kind of ate dinner underneath the enclosure part of it, and then like we sat out on the patio for the rest of the evening out there under like the night sky with like they had those gas heat stations around us, and then like we were just sitting in nice comfy like lawn chair kind of things. So we hung out there for a while listening to music and talking to each other, and then went back to the hotel. And got up the next morning, packed up, and checked out. And we stopped at a grocery store. I bought like $100 worth of cheese. We stopped at a couple, rest stops, bathroom breaks, whatnot, and then they made kind of a lengthy detour that I didn't realize we were making on the way home, and we ended up going to Fort Wayne, Indiana, to go to a pizza place. It was really more of like a brewery that sold pizza, deep dish pizza, and like it was fine, but like I didn't think it was like drive all the way out of the way to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Fine.
You and I know what it is about Indiana. No.
Honestly, the area we ended up at, like in Fort Wayne, it felt like we were like Crocker Park. It was actually kind of nice.
Fair.
But like I can't really complain because like they rented the car and they filled it up with gas. Like I didn't contribute in any way towards any of that. So like the only thing was that it kind of made it hard on me when, I'm getting home at 11 o'clock at night and I'm like been crunched in the back of this car all day. And now like I've been traveling basically the better part of an entire week. Like I've been home like 3 nights out of the last like 10 days.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I'm supposed to try and get up for work in a couple hours. I ended up calling off on Monday. Like I was out of it. Like I was talking to Anthony on the phone today, and I told him, I'm like, my body didn't even know what fucking time zone I was in anymore. I've been flip-flopping around. Time had been moving back and forth and back and forth. I'm like, I've been cramped in airplanes, cramped in tiny cars, cramped in the backseat of cars. I've been coming and going. I'm like, I was just so fucking out of it that like when it came time for me, I woke up like, around like 7:15. And I'm like, I just couldn't do it. I'm like, I was just so tired. I'm like, I texted my boss, told him I didn't feel well. And then I just turned the alarm off and went back to sleep. I'm like, I needed rest. And so like, but like, I also ended up having to fucking bowl that night too, because one of the guys on the team got Guardians tickets for the playoff game.
Yeah.
So when I thought I was supposed to have a week off, which like I wanted to bowl more like this season, that's like, I can't debate that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of nice to have like that Monday off coming back from all this travel so that I could kind of rest. But then I ended up not getting that. So I had to bowl. And I bowled like absolute shit the first game. Like, because my legs were shot.
Yeah.
I had no stability whatsoever. I was all over the place. Like I bowled like a 149. So like I had to get it together. The second game I bowled like a 214. And then the third game I bowled like a 198 or something like that, 192, some shit like that. So I got it together, but that first game was fucking rough. And then like I also was kind of dreading coming back to work because like we've been swamped, and then like it seems like when you leave to have days off in our current position,
yeah,
that like people cover for you, but they don't cover for you like they do your job for you. They cover for you in a way where like they handle all the rush shit, and then they kind of like, it's like fucking, and you get a quickie when you were kind of looking for a session. Like, they'll put a little on it, but they don't really get in there. So it's like, I'm going into files that people touched, and it's like, I can't even tell that they really did anything other than like flip the timing on a tracking item or some shit. So it's like, I'm coming in and I got all this fucking work. I have 340, I come into 346 unread emails. I've got like almost everything in my work pipeline. It's like awake and shit's aging and shit. And so like, I wasn't looking forward to coming back because I knew what I was going to come back to, and I was not looking forward to it. And sure enough, I came back to that. Like, and then because I called off on Monday, I don't really get overtime, which now they've reinstituted. Yeah. But I still ended up working 2 hours over tonight just in an effort to try and get caught back up to some degree where like I can log on tomorrow and not just immediately be drowning to death.
Yeah.
Like I uncovered emails at like 6:30 tonight that my boss sent me last Friday to ask me to do when I came back. That was almost a week ago, and I just saw the email after hours almost a week later. And I still, when I logged off today, had 160 emails that I haven't read yet.
No. That is not the life. Well, there you go, man. Box has been gone for 2 weeks. I think you're caught up on 2 weeks of travel information. Who knows what happened in the midst of that? You know what I'm saying? The cream cheese filling that is the rest of his actual life. But there you go. You learned of his travel, and I man, I'm glad you got out there. I'm glad you had what I think was a good birthday trip. It seems like you as well would agree. The Browns are terrible, and so we just accept that. Just is what it is. Luckily, the guards pulled it off tonight and come home and hopefully can pull it off Saturday, I believe, is what I just saw is our next game. Come on, guards.
Come on, guards. Gotta make it happen. Oh, man, Kenny Walker just caught a pass. Where I come from, we call that a betting win.
This is your wee bit of tea time. You'll get more of it probably next week, assuming everything is done. Vanessa is currently on jury duty. There you go. And because she's a good human being who can keep secrets, won't tell me anything about the case. Even though she's supposed to, because I'm her man. Kind of bullshit is that? But it's all right. But she actually got in the box. She is one of the 12, so she's actually on jury duty. So that's crazy to your boy. I'm actually, this show has gone considerably longer than I thought it would, but I mean, hey, this is what it is. But because I have because I whipped up this thing, I'm going to give you one singular Emma the Asshole, just so you can see the new Emma the Asshole little intro situation. But let me make these 3 offers to you. In box, you can choose which one you want. Whatever you choose is the one that they get this week. Emma the Asshole for agree with my mom. It's kind of pathetic that my wife can't cook. Emma the Asshole here. This is how this is written. I feel guilt that my 30 male wife, 28 female, admitted to me that she is miserable over the fact that I'm now sober. And this last one. Am I the asshole for asking my dad to give me at least half of the money my mom owes me? Which one of those is going to be the one for you?
The first one.
All right. Well, everybody, every week we head on down to the mean streets of Reddit and then drill down even further to the subreddit. Am I the asshole? And we decide if these people are assholes or not. My brand new Emma the Asshole intro video. I made that. And I know you're saying, like, damn, T, for real? Yeah, for real. Your boy put in some work. I wanted it done last week, but before the time me and Charlie went live, but I just couldn't get that last part. If you saw the lettering, I could not get that part right. And also, I ended up finding a better song. And I did some work with that video right there that I was very happy with. So that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So you got videos now. They're little fun little joints. If you watch Krunchy, it's a great British Bake Off podcast. There's a lot of video on that one now too. A lot of little video packages. But let's get this Emma the Asshole in before we send you on your way. Am I the asshole for agreeing with my mom? It's kind of pathetic that my wife can't cook. It's from plastic_voice_6229. I, 28 male, have been married to my wife, 31 female, for about a year. Overall, things are great. But one thing that's been bugging me is that my wife doesn't know how to cook at all. I've always been the one to handle meals, which I was fine with in the beginning because I enjoy cooking. But over time, it started to wear on me, especially when I come home after a long day at work and still have to cook dinner while she relaxes. She refuses to cook and claims that there is nothing wrong with not being able to cook. It's been an ongoing issue between us. I have been trying to teach her, but she is really bad at it. Many conversations about this. The other night, my mom, 56 female, came over for dinner. As usual, I was in the kitchen preparing everything, and my wife was sitting with my mom. At one point, my mom offered to help and asked if she could make the gravy or cut some fruit. My wife was standing around in the kitchen when my mom handed her a knife and asked her to cut some fruit while she handled the gravy. My wife couldn't figure out how to hold it properly and ended up making a mess. My mom watched her fail to cut the fruit and then blurted out, "It's honestly kind of pathetic that you don't know how to cut a piece of fruit at your age." This is facts. I'm sorry. She then went behind her and started to guide her on how to cut stuff like you do with a kid. My wife kind of shrugged and finished cutting her fruit with my mom guiding her. Dinner happens, and I noticed my wife was not happy the whole night. My mom left, and she was pissed I didn't defend her, that I embarrassed her by letting it happen. We got into a bad argument, and I told her that it's pathetic that she cannot cut fruit. She's literally older than me. Damn, no. She's literally older than me and can't hold a knife properly. She told me that it's not the point and that I needed to defend her, and it's not her fault that she's bad at cooking. I pointed out it is, and she's and she is embarrassed because not being able to hold a knife properly is embarrassing for an adult. My wife thinks I'm being a huge jerk. Edit. I cannot keep up over 2,000 comments, and I have things to do. If you have any info, if you have any info, may already be answered in the previous comment. That's how that's written. My apologies. So update. I definitely think this is weaponized incompetence. I will suggest marriage counseling and cooking classes. If things don't change, I'll be out. Jesus Christ, you're gonna let Reddit tell you to end your marriage that you've been in for a year? You are wild. I will make this very clear. Also, for those asking, it was strawberries. Oh, look, a strawberry. She was smushing them and cutting them with stems still on. Wow, that is sad.
I feel like her being shitty at it is one thing, but like not everyone's skilled at like food prep. Like it takes practice and shit. If she's not good at it, like don't rag on her for it. But I also don't think it's like divorce worthy.
Thank you. Thank you. That is kind of where I'm at. Like, sir, really? You gotta end the whole thing over this? Like, nigga, just make the food. You good? You can cook. Yeah, people are wild. And they let the internet convince them that wild is the way to go. But once again, I don't think you were here last time I said this, but we've come back around. Reddit got their shit together, and now we can have glow in the dark comments again because they allow people to give gold or whatever the hell it is on Reddit. So glow in the dark comments exist once again, except they glow yellow now and not pink, which is I don't know. Not the asshole. Does she do the dishes / help clean up? I don't think it really matters which partner does the cooking necessarily, as long as the other is helping. And the standard deal is almost everyone seems to follow is that one person cooks, the other person cleans up. In my house, my wife usually cooks and I usually clean, which is fine because she enjoys cooking and is good. I'm okay. I can cook, but she's definitely better. My mom and stepfather, though, are essentially the opposite. She got home from work late usually, and isn't a great cook anyways. So he cooks and she does the dishes. And yes, it's kind of pathetic that she can't use a knife. Even if you aren't a good cook, you should at least be able to figure out how to hold a knife. That's just silly. The OP responds, "No, not really. I usually cook clean as a cook, so not much to do, and I don't really count putting your dishes in the dishwasher to be much." Edit. You seem to be the top comment. Can you add a judgment to your info? Yeah, I don't even know what that means. Oh, maybe he said something before he gave the not the asshole. So whatever. I don't know if this rises to asshole, but you do got to kind of check your mom at the door. Be like, hey, I get it. That she can't cook, but you got to watch what you say to my lady. That's my partner, and so I'm saying you ain't to be talking reckless to her. I don't care if she can't cook. So that is where I could say he might be the asshole for side with his mom and then like you is some bullshit. You can't even cut a strawberry, but you don't need to do all that. So that's why I would say this person is an asshole. Box.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they weren't supportive enough. They kind of like it was like they allowed their wife to get bullied and they kind of jumped in with the bully.
Facts. And that's what leaves this one whacked. That was our asshole for the week, and Entertainment wise, I'm watching Penguin. I'm not caught. I have not seen the latest episode. I'm watching Agatha All Alone. Have not watched the latest episode. Great British Bake Off, because I make a Great British Bake Off podcast. It's known as SKiM Petitiates Great British Bake Off podcast. It's amazing. I have to stay up tonight to finish edit. Well, no, the audio version is edited. I need to go through and do the video version of it. So that'll be what I'm working on here in a bit. So that'll be up tomorrow from the time. Well, yeah, there'll be an episode up tomorrow from the time you hear this episode. It'll just be a different episode than the one I'm putting up this night. But yeah, we're back at it like a bad habit with the Great British Bake Off, our Great British Bake Off podcast. We had Brad Gessner from the Great American Baking Show on week 1 to help us break down Cake Week, and he should be back, assuming he can be back in the coming week to help me break down Bread Week, because Nick is traveling, so that's what's on and popping in that realm of the situation. That's what I'm watching. I'm playing a bit of Fortnite, and that's just because I like the Marvel event that's going on right now. I play Monopoly Go. There's a racing event now, and I don't even know who the hell my partners are, because that game is weird about who they select your partners in that game. I know one person's our partner, my partner in that game. Oh, and I think I saw my man Kerry is in there, but I don't know, like I said, who the other people are. So I'll take a look in a bit and see what's going on with that event. Box watching, reading, doing anything? I know you just been on the road, so shit.
Yeah, I haven't played Call of Duty in like 3 weeks. Played some Pokemon Go, playing Monopoly Go like as we speak.
Oh, there you go.
I've been watching the new season of From started like 2 weeks ago, so like episode 3 was out on Sunday, so I'm current on that. I have not seen last night's episode of Agatha All Around Us Always, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
So I'll watch that probably tomorrow. I've still watched some horror movies. Like I watched like Trick or Treat from like 15 years ago or something like that. I watched what else did I watch? Shit. I'll have to get back to you on that. I forgot what I watched, because like I think I watched them before like a week ago when I was in my fog. Yeah. The mental fog. So like I don't quite remember what the hell I watched.
Well, it dawns on me that I watched something that I actually do want to talk about, and Nobody Wants This is a comedy series on Netflix, 10 episodes, it's first season. It stars Adam Brody and what's Veronica Mars' real name?
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell, thank you, sir. And it is Kristen Bell is a podcaster, Natch, and she meets a rabbi at a dinner party her friends throwing, and they are navigating what it is to be dating one another and what that means to each other, and kind of falling in love, and it's so much better than it has any right to be. Those two have such chemistry. I have loved Adam Brody since the OC. It's good to see him back at it. I'm sure he's been doing other acting gigs, but this is the one I'm looking at him in and seeing him do things in, and it's really, really good. And there's because he is a rabbi, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things about Judaism in there. And some people have been upset about what they think is the portrayal of Judaism in that show, and other people have just been like, I don't care. I have a homeboy, me and Box both have a homeboy, a Jewish guy who I can always hit up when I got questions about this, and I mean always, and he's never looked at me sideways about it. He's always been as open and honest as he can be about it, and I hit him up about it, and he's like, can I call you? And I'm like, hell yeah, because I ain't talked to him in forever. We talk on the phone, but I ain't heard him in forever. And we just rap, and he goes, oh, me and the wife were watching it too, this, that, and the third, and he explained some things, and I'm like, it was just good to hear his voice too, is what it comes down to. But it's a really great show, and if you have Netflix, I was up basically like I think a Friday night or maybe a Saturday night, can't recall. It was Saturday. It was definitely a Saturday. I was up Saturday night. No, fell asleep on the couch Saturday night. Woke up, got up, went and drank some water, and kind of was awake again. So then I was like, I'm gonna start this show. Ended up watching 4 episodes, going to bed at like 5 that morning. It was real bad. And I wake up the next morning and watch the rest of it. Love that show. It was great. So if you got Netflix and access to it, you know what I'm saying. Nobody Wants This. It's fantastic. 10 episodes, like 30 minutes each. Not even 30 minutes, like 28 minutes. Like it's real, like it's made like TV shows are, and it's really, really great. And I think you should watch it. I got all kinds of other things I can talk about. I'll talk about next week. Worry not when we get around to doing another episode. But that is the deal, people.
Well, I can tell you, I remember the two movies that I watched.
Go on, sir.
They were both on Peacock. One was called Abigail, and the other was called The Mousetrap. Abigail was basically, the premise was like some people kidnapped this little girl, and they're like supposed to be holding her hostage, like for ransom inside this building.
Yeah.
But turns out she's actually a vampire. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. It was good.
That's a cool premise, though.
Yeah, and then the other movie was like some sort of like indie ass film where like I think it was like I got the sense that like they were Canadian.
Yeah,
and it's like basically like imagine like the manager with Swings and Things gets like possessed by like some sort of demonic Mickey Mouse mask, and he goes around killing kids inside of his like establishment. That's basically what it was. It was like a really unrealistic, like, I mean, obviously like the premise is unrealistic, but like it was like a poorly done, like indie acted horror film with like cheap effects and shit that was on Peacock, and they had to like make a kind of joke about it. Like they did like a Star Wars like word crawl at the beginning, and they had to talk about how like legally they had to say that they reached out to Disney and Disney did not give them permission to make this movie, and Disney was in no way involved, and this, that, and the other, that kind of shit. So I watched that on Peacock, and then I have a couple other things that I kind of want to watch. I think like there's like some werewolf horror movie from like the early 2000s that I have in my watch list and stuff, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
There you go, people. Hope you enjoyed that. That's our little entertainment Rex for the week. You know what it is. Please rate, review, subscribe, and share the show wherever possible. That's mostly just YouTube. And so the goal in September was to get to 50, and we did. The goal for October, 75, just about 25 mark. And so if you have not, please go ahead and subscribe to Stage Crunchy Milk. Apparently, the old Stage Crunchy Milk channel is still up, even though I got an email from Google some time ago that said, hey, all that shit that was there is getting erased. And I was like, cool, because that's good. That should be gone because it's not, I can't use it or get to it anymore. So how do you know if you have the right Stage Crunchy Milk? There's shit going up every week on the one that actually is active. There you go. So that's the one you want to be on. And so it'd be real dope if you have not yet to please go over there and subscribe or tell a friend to tell a friend. You know what I'm saying? The more people we get subscribing, the more we hit the algorithm, and hey, the more we can grow. The place I get music from has finally added the ability to whitelist things. And so I finally got to go in there and whitelist my whole channel. So now guess what? I get no copyright strikes on everything, meaning we can legit make bread on this bitch if we ever get popular enough. That'd be dope, right? So come on, man, let's get to it. The email address for the show is podcast@stagecrunchyandmilk.com. It used to be something I'd tell you at the front of the show, but now the intro of the show is different and it's not there no more. So I thought I'd tell you that right now. If you want to support the show financially, got a few bucks tossed our way. Consider joining us over at Patreon. Remember, it's the $5 tier, get extra content each month and early access to new shows. Got merch, tpublic.com/users/stagecrunchyandmilk, all one word. And all these things, all these links are right there in the show notes. Just look down at your podcatcher and you should be able to click on anything I'm saying there. I don't think it works that way on YouTube, oddly enough. On YouTube, not the video version, on the audio version that goes up over on YouTube, they don't let you put links in there. Weird. Feel free to give us a call, 216-264-6311. That's 216-264-6311. We certainly love to hear from you. Just hit us up, shoot us a text message or whatever you want to do. It's all to the good, people. Our missing man is the 216's own Tatum. Send him love. Again, if you are lucky enough to follow him on the socials, you can see pictures of his lovely little baby. Me and Box got to link up and slide over to the crib and go visit with that baby because it's our new nephew. It's what we got to do because love got to be shown. That is, of course, the eBay Emperor Lunchbox 2099.
Clickety clack.
What the fuck? You ever seen? You know when you go to Canes, they be like, "Bibbity bobbity boo, what can Canes do for you?" And then I remember seeing this video. The dude was like, "Click clack gluck."
Click clackety duck. This is what the fuck I want. Can I get a 3?
I don't give a fuck. I just want to just order him some like a Caniac combo or some shit. But it was crazy. It's a wild time for the Empire, I gotta tell you. I am your host, Internet's Tay-Rail 713. Don't make me push you into traffic. We'll do it again next time. Peace.
What happened to your ass? It used to be beautiful.